Welcome to the best debate in the universe. Every debate in the universe, from liking Nirvana to YouTube drama. With over 2 million downloads, I'm your host, Maddox. Mikey's not in, but sitting in for him is BMO. And with me, as always, is my first hand-on-staff moderator, Rucka Ali.
Yeah!
Welcome back to the show. Guys, we got a stellar show, an amazing guest this week. Today we're going to talk about whether or not white identity should exist. Then we've got a recap of last week's debate, as always, and then voicemail. And then we'll do the debate, and finally we'll round out the show with some headlines, as always. But first, I want to introduce our guest this week, all the way from London.
Well, near it.
Near London. You guys may have known him from his YouTube channel. He's a firebrand on YouTube, I think. Very outspoken social commentator.
He's a YouTuber.
You know what? He's elevated beyond that. He's an outspoken social commentator. That's what I'd say.
But he's
like
part
that.
of the YouTuber community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, someone whose videos I've watched for a long time.
Oh, thank you.
Sargon of Akkad, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. It's this is an honor. I'm not joking when I say an honor. I've been reading your website since I had a dial-up. So.
Wow.
So I'm not kidding. You were like the original edgelord, and I fucking loved it, man.
Wow.
You know what trolling is. You know, the kids today have no idea.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the show.
We were, yeah.
So, what brings you out to Los Angeles? This is your first time to the States, is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Vidcon. Yeah. I've come specifically to just represent, I guess, because one of the things about Vidcon that really pisses me off, it's ideologically homogenous. Everyone there, all of the cast. I mean, they're not chosen because of their merit. I mean, most of the, I was watching Cat Black's panel earlier, and there were people on the panel with 12,000 subscribers. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not like a subscriber. I talk to people however much, but it's like you can hardly consider this person like an industry authority on YouTube with 12,000 subscribers. You know,
right?
I mean, why is he there? You know, it's because he knows the right people and he thinks the right way. And if you don't think that way, in fact, I mean, I'm directly opposed to the way they think, and we'll get into that. That's the reason we're doing this debate, to explain to people why. And that means that I'm not even, I'm not welcome there. I mean, I've got 630 odd thousand subscribers. Why wouldn't they come to me and say, hey, would you like to do a panel and explain to people why you've got this? You know, I mean, they don't go to you've got people like Paul Joseph Watson with 1 million subscribers,
right.
TJ Kirk, 1 million subscribers. They want to go anywhere near these people, even though these people they're making arguments. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with them, but it's not that they're just irrational morons. They just hold positions I don't hold. But the whole ideological hegemony, and if it was more sort of moderate, I probably wouldn't mind, but it's really far left, and the far left have been a real problem, let's be honest. Everyone knows it, and that's why Donald Trump won in the end, really, isn't it?
You think so? That was you think it was?
They're the ones calling everyone racists.
Okay, and you think that it was a backlash. Now, I've heard this argument before. We had Chris Raygun on this episode, the show. We a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah.
And I believe he was making kind of similar argument. Or was it some black guy? Some black guy, the YouTuber, for the people who don't know.
I love that name, though, because it sounds derogatory, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's just some black guy.
Yeah, we had a guest on a couple weeks ago, and we mentioned some black guy, and he was just kind of off-put, and I said, no, that's his
channel,
name.
yeah.
That's his channel name, yeah.
It's like the Slants. Did you see that?
Which one?
A band called the Slants. They recently won a court case to keep the name.
That's right.
And it was just yes, absolute win for free speech there. And I love the fact, because they're all Asian, and they're obviously just trolling people with the name.
Yeah, and there was some t-shirt company that wouldn't produce their t-shirts, right?
Yeah, and they've been upheld, so I guess they're going to have to now.
No, wait, they have to press t-shirts now?
Oh, no, God, I think they get the right to. What was it?
This whole thing is not a win for anyone. The fact it got this far, the fact you had to go to the Supreme Court to have the name of your band be the Slants. We live in a horrible time.
Yeah, but that's the point, isn't it? Everyone, it's these people just calling everything racist.
Yeah.
You can't tell a bunch of Asian people they can't have a name that's satirical of racism towards them. It's like telling black people they can't use the N-word.
Well,
no, it literally is.
It's like telling black people they can't say anything, but you can't tell anyone not to say anything. You can't tell white guys not to call their band the Slants. You can't tell.
Yeah, I can. I can. I can tell whatever I want to whoever I want.
You
Rucka.
can, but
don't tell me who I can't tell what they can't say.
No, I take your point though.
Yeah.
I don't like
know.
that anyway. I don't like that kind of social control.
Well, so Sargon, I want to talk to you about this. You feel like there has been a marginalization of right-wing views and conservative views.
Not even right-wing. It's anything that's not the sort of intersectional social justice. Anything that doesn't fit neatly into this and into what these people would consider to be acceptable.
Right.
And I mean, I'm a centre-left social liberal, and so I'm not in their camp. And it comes down to whether you want equality of outcome or equality of opportunity. I want equality of opportunity. They want equality of outcome. Then we disagree on the fundamental principle of their ideology and mine, and therefore they call me Hitler. And it's because I'm not even right wing. I want socialized healthcare. I want a social safety net. I don't mind, taxes being moderately high, even though technically that's kind of bad for the economy. But I don't mind it. I can deal with it, and I think it's a worthwhile trade-off. I've got centre-left positions, but because I don't arrive at those positions their way. Right. Then they have to say, right, what you are is alt-right. You obviously hate the Jews. You're a white nationalist. You are, you want to kick black people out of the country and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'd have to kick my own father out of the country if I wanted that.
What? Your dad's black?
Well, he's half black.
He's half black?
Yeah.
That would make you
quarter black.
That would make you
African.
You're a black guy this whole time.
You're a black guy.
Sargon of Akkad has been a quarter black, and he hasn't been milking it.
Well, let the N-words fly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Come on.
This is why the alt-right hate me. They call me a quadroon. I didn't even know what the word quadroon was.
What does that mean?
It means someone who's quarter black.
Quadroon.
Yeah, I'd never even heard the word before, and they're saying it to me like I should be offended. I'm like, okay, I don't care.
Wow.
Dude,
That's interesting.
It bothers me not a word.
Finally, we got some other black guy on the show.
Yeah, exactly. So we got some other black guy.
That's what I'm going to rename my channel, actually.
Some other black guy, finally. Yeah. Well, Sargon, I think now, just to play devil's advocate,
sure.
I have shot a bunch of videos. In fact, most of my videos I've shot at the YouTube space in Los Angeles. Oh. Now, the YouTube space is a studio that Google has set up specifically for YouTube creators. And sometimes they'll allow people into the creator space who have much smaller channels. Yeah. And I don't think that politics is involved in those instances as much.
Good. Yeah, that's good.
Because they're trying to give smaller channels an opportunity. Yeah. Now, do you think that it's a little bit of that as well? Like they're trying to give smaller people, creators, an opportunity? Or is it that they're just looking for specific points of view?
Oh, I mean, they will definitely rationalize it that way. Obviously, well, I mean, he's only got 12,000 subscribers. We want to give him, the opportunity to give him a platform. But it's because he agrees with you on every single goddamn point. You chose him to give a platform. You didn't choose some alt-right guy who sat there going, you know what we should do? Gas the Jews. It wasn't a bad idea. Hitler was actually a pretty good guy. They're not giving him a platform.
There's your soundbite for the week.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, this whole thing, right? I get called alt-right all the time. I mean, there was a BuzzFeed article put out today about me where they were calling me far right. And I'm just thinking, what would I have to believe to actually be far right? I mean, I have to be a goose-stepping neo-Nazi, right? I don't hold any of these positions. It's just, I'm a free market capitalist, for fuck's sake. I'm not a fascist. These people want state control of the economy. So, I mean, from a technical position, I couldn't be that because I just want the opposite. And then they go, well, racism. Okay, but I'm not a racist. So.
Well, what I find interesting is you made a video a while back, and this is a problem I think that myself and many people have had on Twitter, about getting the Twitter verified badge. Yeah. Which you have, like 600,000 followers on Twitter? Or that's your YouTube channel?
600 on YouTube, 200,000 on Twitter.
200,000 on Twitter, which is a pretty significant feat.
I get between 2 and 4 million impressions a day, I think it is.
Yeah.
Millions of people are seeing my tweets.
And yet you can't get Twitter verified.
No.
Now, it seems like Twitter verification has become not about having a verified account, but it does seem like there is a little bit of politics involved.
Oh, there certainly is.
I can't get it. And it's not about the size of your followers. There are people who have 8,000 followers who have it, 10,000 followers who have it. I've applied multiple times, and they said the verification requirements, originally it used to be just so you could verify that your account is official and you are not one of the impersonators, right? Mm-hmm. I have multiple impersonators of me constantly.
Same here.
Constantly posting things. So I say, okay, look, I'm the authentic person. I send them my credentials. I send them New York Times articles, Wall Street Journal, actual news outlets who've talked about me.
I could do all of the same.
Yeah.
I can do all the same. And
they don't care. It's not about that.
Do you know what it is? It's because you are a troll.
I am a troll.
Same here.
But I'm not so aggressive and on Twitter. Twitter's not my platform.
Well, no. What I mean by troll is that you don't take yourself especially seriously, and so you're prepared to have fun with it.
Right.
You know, you'll put out a bit of bait for someone just to tease them a bit.
I used to be verified, so
You got to take it away.
yeah, they took it. They suspended my account. This was like 2012 or some shit. Like they deleted my account and then gave it back to me a year later, but I didn't have the verification badge.
It's a fucking mark of status, and we know this from when they de-verified Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah.
Milo had been pissing them off because he's a troll too. You know,
But-
when I say troll, I think it's worth specifying that I don't mean someone who sends people abuse, because the social justice warriors have effectively redefined it to mean someone who sends me nasty words on Twitter. That would not count as trolling in my definition. You know, in my definition, it's more like intellectual satire.
Right.
You know, it's saying things that are going to provoke, and it's up to them just to say, you know what, I know you're trying to provoke me. You know, it's about, you know, getting them to think about what they're saying.
I did one of the video that's pinned at the top of my Twitter account right now is a troll. It's a minute and a half long video talking about the CIA WikiLeaks dump that came out that said that they had all these tools that they were using to hack and snoop on people, right?
Yeah.
They said, here's how you can find out if you're affected by this. Just go to Google Maps and type in your address. If it comes up, you're in the affected area. And then I show a map of the affected area, and it's the Earth, and it's all red.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I'm saying you can find out if your laptop is vulnerable if it has the following feature. Go to the manufacturer website and look up in the feature called Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And, of course, by the time people finish watching it, I love watching people in real life see it, watch the video, because there's the slow realization that I've wasted their time. Yeah. And that is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I love wasting people's... It's just my favorite thing. I love wasting people's time.
Speaking of wasting time, let's talk about what happened today.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, shit,
Sargon,
man.
you've got a story. Okay, so you're here for VidCon, and you went to a panel with Anita Sarkeesian on it.
Yes, indeed.
Right? Now, let's give a bit of background for the listeners who don't know who Anita Sarkeesian is and what you're known for online, so that people understand what happened.
Anita Sarkeesian is probably the one person responsible for the tremendous schism in the gaming industry between what is effectively gamers and the gaming journalists themselves. Because the gaming journalists themselves are effectively progressive activists. They are... Many of them are just not gamers. I mean, what the funniest thing in the world was when what was the latest Doom one? Just the latest Doom game. What was that called?
Just Doom.
It was just called Doom,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. The gaming website Polygon put out the sort of test, like 30 minutes of demo footage or whatever, and it was the most embarrassing thing in the world. The guy took like 3 shots to kill one thing, and it's literally just slowly walking towards him, and he's like, bang, miss, bang, miss, bang, miss. It's like, who the fuck is playing this? It ain't a gamer. It's a progressive activist, and they're just here to push identity politics. And she was unbelievably, I mean, like every time she puts out a video, Polygon just host it on their website for her.
Right.
You know, they'll put out a website. Anita Sarkeesian, our Lord and Savior, has put out a new video, and then it'll be shit. Her work is terrible. I mean, I can't find anyone who will defend her work.
She is the creator. Well, I have friends who absolutely will defend her
Really?
work. Yeah,
Oh,
I
let me
would
talk
love
to him. Let me
love
talk
to
to
have
him.
him. Yeah, I'd love to have you guys in the same room together
Yeah.
to debate this. But
Yeah.
her work is largely known for Feminist Frequency, which she came out with a YouTube series a while back. She raised over $100,000 to create a YouTube series about sexism in gaming. And it came out and it's very
I think it was actually
controversial.
portrayals of women in gaming. I don't think it was supposed to be about sexism.
Okay.
But because literally everything is sexism to her, I can understand why you would make the mistake.
Yeah. So, portrayal. It was a 3-part series. Very well produced. I'll give her that. It's very well
the quality
produced.
was excellent, yeah.
But the conclusions that she came to, most gamers totally disagree with, because it seems disingenuous. It seems like she's not a gamer. She's not talking about what she likes about games. She's looking for flaws in games, and sometimes unfairly so.
Oh, almost always. I mean, like, she just cherry picks. Everyone knows she'll pick out like a couple of examples, and then I mean, there are times where she misrepresents that as well. Like in Hitman, she'll say you get benefits for murdering the strippers or something, and in the footage she's using in her video, you can see the guy's points going down.
Right. It penalizes
because he's
you.
being penalized for it. It's like, Anita, you just lied, or you're an idiot and you don't know what
Yeah.
Hitman's about, which I think is more likely. Actually, I don't want to just call her a liar, but to be honest with you, the whole like gamer thing. You should. I mean, if you can go back and watch the Kickstarter video, she sat there going, I'm a gamer. I love games, and then. Was it? I think it was Mashable. I think she did an interview with. It might have been Mike. It was one of these far left outlets where she literally said, you know what? It's never been about gaming. It's always been about social justice. It's like, well, there you just hanged yourself, didn't you?
Right.
You just said it's not about gaming. It's about social justice. This means when you go, it's about gaming. I'm a gamer. No, you aren't. And the thing is, there was footage leaked from like 2012, the black and white footage. Everyone and their mother's seen it, and yet she will never address it, and no one will force her to address it.
And let's explain what this footage is. She was in college, doing a talk at a college.
Yep.
And someone asked her what game she likes, and she said she doesn't really
I'm
play
not
games.
a gamer.
Yeah.
I had to learn a lot about video games in making this. And,
Right.
That's a direct quote. you
Right.
know. I actually hate games.
So it seems disingenuous, her criticism.
It's lies.
So
that's
now,
the thing.
so that's Anita Sarkeesian. And then today, you went to VidCon. You have been very critical of her in your videos.
Yeah, but I criticize the thing. I mean, basically what I've just told you is the criticism from my videos. You know?
Of her work. Not her
Yeah,
personally.
no.
Her
Well,
work,
I don't know anything about her personally.
Of course, yeah.
Although it's quite obvious that she seems to have conned people by saying, "I'm a gamer. Give me money to do reviews of games."
Whether or not you're criticizing her, the person, or her words, you're not harassing her in saying this.
No.
You're literally just holding her accountable for what she's posting on the fucking internet.
Absolutely. Like everyone does to me, to you.
No one has a problem with me.
Yeah, that's true. You are universally beloved, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It happens to everyone, right? But then she turns anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? There are people who send her nasty messages, but there's people who send everyone nasty messages. She actually, though, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an ingenious business strategy. She weaponizes and monetizes this by saying, "Hey, look, I'm a victim. Boo hoo hoo. Give me a platform. Give me, and again, another Kickstarter. She needs another $200,000 to make a video series that's apparently finished, and she needs it to just, I don't know why she even needed it.
Right.
But you know, it's just. It's the marketing strategy for her, you know? And then she's complaining like, "Oh, I'm only known for being a victim." You're damn right you're only known for being a victim. Your work sucks. Everyone thinks your work's terrible. And yeah, all you do is talk about... I mean, like the panel today that she was supposed to do was it's meant to be about, you know, women in general online. It wasn't meant to be about Anita Sarkeesian getting mean tweets.
Right.
But that was all it was about.
So you went to VidCon today, and Anita Sarkeesian did a panel that you attended.
I did.
And it was and so what happened? You sat at the front row.
I did sit in the front row.
And what did she do? What happened when she noticed you?
It was very interesting. I mean, I was recording it on my GoPro,
right?
And so I mean, you know, I'd said they were a group for a sec. Because the thing is, this has been a long running thing, and we have been utterly marginalized from the word go. They just go, "You hate women, therefore we don't have to talk to you." And this worked when we had small channels. However, now, I mean, my channel's half the age of hers and 3 times the size of hers. You know, her channel isn't growing. My channel's still, you know, growing nicely. So it's one of those things where it's like, look, there are a lot of people on the other side of this argument, and they are not just misogynist harassers. They are people who have legitimate bones to pick with you to hold you accountable, and she will not engage with them. She has never, to my knowledge, ever engaged with a critic of her work or of her behavior. And people are rightly pissed off because she has gone into the gaming industry and said, right, and she commands a remarkable amount of power because, I mean, she got to the UN to speak about people sending her mean tweets. It's like, Anita, don't you think there might be serious issues going on in the world at the moment? But no, you've got to waste the UN's time with people sending you things on Twitter. Get fucked. You know, no one's interested in what happens to you on Twitter. It's not important. You know, you're not a victim. Nothing's happening to you. And she can go to any game studio, and I mean, many of them. She got a huge grant from Microsoft because they wanted to virtue signal about how they care about women and stuff. It's like, dude, no one thinks you hate women. No one thinks this, you know?
Well, so my problem, I think, largely with Anita Sarkeesian's...
Oh, sorry, Intel it was, not Microsoft. Sorry, Intel.
Oh, Intel.
Yeah,
gave her
I
a
just
large
wanted to be
grant.
specific.
That's right, yeah. So my problem, I think, with Anita Sarkeesian largely is that she's criticizing how women are marginalized in gaming and the representation of them is sexualized, right? Which by the way is... What's that?
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes, of course.
Yeah.
But it's also making the presumption that sexualization is bad. It's the further demonization of sexualization. Mm-hmm. So just because you have a character who's sexual, it's necessarily bad or impure or less than, which is really a disgusting thing to say about humanity because human sexuality is the thing that makes us most human. That's how we reproduce. That's how we pass each generation on to the other is through sex. And to say that it's this nasty thing because guys get off to it. And by the way, it's not just guys. There are lesbian women who are attracted to sexuality, female sexuality in gaming too.
But it's more important though because women's sexuality, it's empowerment as well. women use their sexuality to get what they want.
Sure.
Not all women, obviously, but I know it's silly that I have
Just
to say
most. What is that? What you're?
No. Well, there are some women.
We're having fun.
It's yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm on the defensive because I'm constantly called all kinds of bloody names. I know
you're in a safe space here.
Yeah,
This is a safe space, Sargon.
Okay.
Finally.
You're sitting with the most famous misogynist. Is that what you are? Is that what you're known for?
I think I'm more
I don't think
famous as a
so.
misogynist.
No, I don't think. Okay, now we got triggered.
Yeah. Oh.
That's what happens when you bring that up. Bring up the M word in the safe space, Rucka.
bad.
Yeah,
All
goddamn Rucka.
So Sargon, you went to the panel. Here's what happened. You sat at the front row, right?
Yeah.
And she specifically called you out. And
What I tell you what happened, right?
Yeah, what happened?
So, we're all sat there, and basically there are a bunch of us because we've come as a group, but that's fine because they're on the stage as a group, And so we're sat there, and I'm recording, and we'd all agreed that look, what we'd do is we'd be polite. Because let's before I talk about it, I want to address the issue of harassment because it's something that really pisses me off. Right, there is no reason to send someone a nasty tweet.
Sure,
it doesn't do anything good.
I agree.
It just makes you look like a total asshole. You're just going to hurt the feelings of the person. You're not going to refute their arguments.
Right.
But more importantly, with someone like Anita Sarkeesian, she's going to use that to get money.
Of course.
She is going to grow more powerful. She's going to grow richer,
right.
More famous when you send her a nasty tweet. So
right.
if you are the sort of twat who does actually send these things, look, think about it from your point of view. You're just making her stronger.
Of course.
Stop doing it. It's totally counterproductive. So and that's not even me making a moral argument. Of course, it's wrong to send someone abuse. Abusing people is terrible.
Right.
But if these people aren't interested in a moral argument, think of self-interest. Look, you're hurting yourself and making her look better.
Right.
So don't do it. Don't. And I've said this consistently, and I had it as my pinned tweet for like 3 months or something. Just don't do it. It helps them and hurts you. So yeah, they all came on the stage, and then she kind of clonked us. And I saw her. I was sat on it's split into two wings, the left and right wing, and the left wing had all been reserved, and so we were sat on the right wing of these chairs, and I was sat on the far left side of the wing, and I noticed her I noticed her eyes scanning along the front row from the right towards me, and as soon as she got to me, she looked quite happy because I don't think she knew entirely who those people were, or maybe she saw them as contemptible or something like that. But as soon as she got to me, her face became thunderous, and I mean, you could tell she was like, "Is that Sargon?" And then I kind of smiled at her because we had eye contact. I kind of smiled at her, and she just got out her phone and just started texting. And what she had actually done is text the head of security.
Wow.
To say that she was being threatened by us. As far as I'm aware, now that's a third-hand report, so that might have to change in future. I'm not sure, but as far as we know, because a friend of mine called Naomi had gone and talked to the head of security. And that's what she said they said. I had no reason to disbelieve her, obviously, because I wouldn't hang around with liars. And so they had been like, well, she was afraid and all this stuff. And Naomi was just like, look, she's a public figure on a stage. She should be expected to be able to look at the audience without getting upset. And they were like, yeah, that's a fair point. We didn't get thrown out. Nothing, we didn't do anything wrong. We were just sat there recording. It's not our problem if she doesn't like us.
Right.
I mean, I don't like her.
You've never, this is the first time you've been to the States. You've never been to any of her other events.
No.
You're not like a stalker. You've never made any threats. No. You've never followed her around. You don't abuse her on Twitter or anything like that, right?
What she said is that your videos are harassing her.
How can a video harass someone?
Well, it can, but is that what you were doing?
No, obviously not.
Okay, she was saying your videos harass her.
She actually said they were just silly videos. And she said they were silly. And it's like, well, dude.
She was dismissive of them.
Exactly. She's dismissive of harassment. I mean, in the conference herself, she was like, well, and she actually literally made this joke. I actually get kind of amused when they come up with a creative insult. I think, you put some effort into that. And she literally said this, I'll put the footage up on my channel so people can just watch it for yourself because she's not bothered. It's all an act. It's all a show, And
I think you hit it on the head when you said it is for money because every time she cries victim, oh look at what happened. Now there are times where it has crossed the line. I actually defended Anita Sarkeesian once when they made the bomb threat and she canceled that school event. I said, guys, I couldn't disagree more with her, but this is chicken shit. She has every right to say what she wants. And same thing with the speakers on the right, like Ann Coulter recently. Yeah. She got threatened out of speaking at Berkeley. Yeah. Look, guys, you gave her a much bigger platform by banning her. And I think that's what elevated
It's the
Anita
Streisand
Sarkeesian.
effect, isn't it? You know, as soon as you're preventing people from hearing something,
right,
they want to know what the hell they're being denied.
Of course.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So
why I gained 6,000 followers on Twitter today.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So what happened during the talk?
Yeah, so her eyes were scanning across, and she got to me, and she was thunderous, and I didn't think she was going to do anything. And just before, right, Dave Cullen of the channel Computing Forever, he'd come over, and he was like, you know what? If she takes all of this with relatively good humor, what we should do, if she doesn't spurg out and if she just gets on like a professional, we should all give her like a standing ovation or something. And I was like, that's a great idea. So I'm leaning around to the guys around. I was like, we should do this.
It's a nice olive branch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But not only that, it's just because it's not that we don't want to respect them.
Sure.
It's that they're being mendacious, and you can't be respectful of someone who's actively trying to deceive you and trying to manipulate you. And so we were like, yeah, okay, fine. And so we're all quiet and polite. And so after a little while, and not even a little while, like in the first 5 minutes, she starts going on about some serial or famous harassers. I can't remember the exact terminology, and she was looking directly at me. And so I put my finger up and just gave her the okay sign, because, and everyone was like, ooh, because they knew she was calling me, and, she was looking at me, and I was just like, yeah, I hear you.
Everything's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's okay. But yeah, I just said, don't worry, it's okay. I can take the bants. I can take it. It's fine. I'm not bothered by you doing this, right? And you would think that would be the end of it. Because you'd think she'd think, okay, I've got one on him. Yeah, I've had a little dig. He's gone, all right, I'll take the little dig. I don't know what it was, but she just kept going, and she ends up calling me a shithead, a garbage human. And then when I said, look, I just want to talk, she told me to get fucked or fuck off or something like that.
Wow.
And I'll put the footage up on my channel when I get home.
This is amazing. So you have this footage. We'll link to it.
I was filming the footage myself. I have
amazing.
the footage.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit. I mean, she's there on a stage with a microphone with a bunch of other feminists as a featured content creator for VidCon, and she's abusing a member of the audience because she doesn't like them.
That's inappropriate on so many levels.
Yeah.
First of all, you're abusing the podium. You're standing there, and you're
abusing the platform.
You're abusing the platform. You're abusing the voice that people have given you. I'm sure at YouTube
for a
at
personal beef.
Yeah, for a personal vendetta to single out someone in the audience. Which, by the way, most of the people there were probably sympathetic to her cause and were supporters. So she, in a very real sense, could have incited a mob to attack you. Then, right?
It's entirely possible.
A mob of little girls.
No, they weren't little girls. What it is, it's a mob of gender bending transsexuals and beta males. So to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure I could have taken them all personally, but I wasn't worried about my safety, really. It was more it's the arrogance of it, the fact that she's on the stage, she's the one holding the power and authority in this situation, and she's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a shit on that guy in the audience. I mean, most of the people in the audience probably didn't know who the fuck I was or something. I mean, maybe when she sort of had singled me out, maybe they did, but still, it's highly inappropriate. I mean, I paid a lot of money to go to this conference. Sure. I have every right to sit in this audience. I have every right.
You weren't haranguing her.
No,
you weren't
I
harassing
said
her.
nothing.
Yeah.
Not a word. And I only said something back to her when she had started insulting me. And all I said was, I want to talk. Why can't we talk? And she was like, get fucked, dude, or something to that effect. But
you were sitting there and you yelled, I want to talk?
Yeah. Okay. Why can't we talk?
Okay.
And I was angry. I was genuinely upset because she's like,
she just called you a garbage person.
Yeah,
What did she say? Human garbage?
Yeah, you're a garbage person, you're a shithead, and get fucked, or something like that.
Do you think she knows you're a quarter black?
No, I didn't. I don't think she understands how racist she is, to be honest. But the thing is, I was pissed off because I'm not, obviously, and I had done nothing wrong. I'm sorry. If the situation was reversed, I mean, I would never ever say that to her like that anyway.
Yeah.
I would actually ask her to talk, because that's all I've ever wanted to do is just sit her down and say, look, Anita, there are some questions you need to answer and you never answer them. And this is why, and there are millions of people who hate Anita Sarkeesian. And it's not just because she's a raging bigot who says that men are evil sexists who want to hurt women. It's because she just won't come to the mat and answer the damn questions, right? I mean, one of the questions that she refused to answer was, do you actually believe the things you say? Maddox, do you believe the things you say? When you make a point, do you believe it?
On this show, not always.
But you can at least answer the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if say to me, do I believe what I say? Of course I believe what I say.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not answering that. Why wouldn't you answer that, Anita?
So
why wouldn't you just say sure? Why don't I?
Maybe she viewed that as condescending.
Yeah, she took it as you can't be dumb enough to believe what you're saying.
Yeah, or you can't be serious. Maybe that's how she read
but
it.
Again, it's one of those questions that's dogged her whole career.
Sure.
That people can't believe she believes the things that she claims to believe.
Well, I believe that when she says some of the things that she says that sound especially outrageous and egregious. Like, for example, she did this video. I've watched almost all of her videos.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm surprised they don't have more views, really, because for being the most outspoken person on her side of the platform, I imagine she would be equivalent to, say, you, where your videos get, millions of views and you have a very active and engaged fan base.
Yeah.
I think maybe part of it is the fact that she has turned off comments.
Undoubtedly. That doesn't foster community, does it?
I think if she wants to make the... Yeah.
Someone asked her, I think someone was trying to ask her, why do you turn off comments? But they ended up ending... let me finish asking this.
Sure.
So the crowd was responding negatively to her abusing me, naturally.
Right.
And...
even the crowd that was there for her.
Well, not for her, but there was a crowd for us.
Okay,
and it turned out, because she had targeted me, it then became a crowd in my favor because it became a personal thing between me and her.
Sure.
I didn't even want to make it. I didn't want to say a damn word to her. I was just literally there to hear what she was going to say.
Right.
I thought she was just going to ignore me because she's always ignored me her whole career. Why would she stop now? Why change the habit of a lifetime, right? And so I thought, right, okay, what I'm going to do is go up to her and ask her, Anita, why did you lie about being a gamer? That's what I was going to ask her, because it's true. We know she lied. We've got the evidence that she lied. She's literally said, I'm not a gamer. I had to learn a lot about this stuff to do it. So I'm not in any way defaming her when I say, why did you lie about being a gamer? She'll obviously choose not to answer, but we knew, I want to have at least said, look, you've always run on this platform saying, oh, I'm a gamer. You're not a gamer. You know it. And it would be nice for someone to finally say it to her, Yeah, in the end, it was weird because, people were pissed off and the tension was so thick it wasn't the room, but the area we were in. Man, people were stressed. Because she had contacted security, the security sent down a bunch of people. They didn't do anything to us. They didn't kick us out because we weren't doing anything wrong, And this was Anita irrationally acting out and looking... someone tweeted out a picture. I've kind of got a little bit of a smile on my face because I'm just like, I can't believe she's doing this. And she's got this just gloomy look on her face, and it's just like, yeah, you can see you're fucking up here, Anita. You shouldn't be. I'm probably going to go down tomorrow and put in a legitimate complaint of abuse and harassment from her because under the Vidcon terms and conditions, she has abused and harassed me.
Right.
I'm not a victim, but I don't see why she should just be allowed to do this.
If this were any other person, if you just wrote on a piece of paper, you said, okay, there's a speaker at an event who singled out someone in the audience who was staying quiet and listening.
And then called them garbage.
And called them garbage and a shithead.
Dehumanized them from the platform of VidCon.
Just on paper, you would say, okay, well, that speaker's wrong. And just on a fundamental level, it's unprofessional.
Oh, absolutely.
It's unprofessional. These are two professionals in their industry, you and her, who... look, she's not obligated to have a debate with you. She's not obligated to answer any of your questions. But you weren't asking until she singled you out from the audience.
Yeah, I didn't say a damn word.
Of course. So that's interesting. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
The Q&A session. They were doing question and answer session.
Right. I want to
this ended after about 3 questions and about 10 minutes early because they could see that a bunch of I don't want to. I'm going to use the term neckbeards, but that's not a pejorative. A bunch of people who are opposed to her and who have wanted to ask her questions for a very long time were queuing up. And Joey Salads asked a really legitimate question, and it really pissed me off the way he was treated. Right.
Right.
All right. Well, how was it phrased exactly?
So Joey Salads. So the panel. Were you at the panel, Rucka?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to take this?
Well, Joey got up there and said, "Why do you think only women are harassed online?"
Right.
Yeah, and the crowd went wild.
Correct.
There was a huge roar and cheer, and I cheered as well. I put my hand up for it as well because we all get it. She's not special. You're not a snowflake, Anita, and they had Joey Salads escorted away, didn't they? They refused to answer.
They gave him sort of an answer. Maybe they said something along the lines of, yeah, everyone gets it a little bit, but we're here to talk about women.
Oh, was that?
That was the response.
They said something like, we don't have to talk about this 24/7, but here we're
But she
here to
did
talk
tell
about this.
she told him to go away.
She was dismissive,
Yeah.
and then when Joey kind of tried to push it a little further, like, why are you acting like this is a women's issue when everyone that's ever been online has had to deal with comments? They just said, they basically said, you're harassing us, you're being an asshole, you're a man, you're misogynist, get him out of here. They had him escorted
I can't
away.
remember the exact language they used, but they were really dismissive of what is, in my opinion, and the opinion of the crowd, clearly, an incredibly valid question.
Sure. I've been harassed most of my career just from the get-go. It's part of the territory of what I do, what it comes with. And there are times when it's crossed the line and it becomes definitely abusive and to stalking territory and doxing territory, which is way, way beyond the line.
Yeah.
But everybody does experience. Now, to play devil's advocate, but for both you guys.
One thing before we move on. I think it's important to remember that Anita Sarkeesian is not innocent of the charge of having people who watch her videos who harass, right? From Anita Sarkeesian supporters, I've been doxxed. I get messages all the time. My wife has been contacted, and the person doing it was trying to break up my marriage with my wife, right? They obviously send threats and insults and whatnot. But also, another interesting thing is that during the Gamergate controversy, there was a meetup for Gamergate folks in, I think it was Washington, D.C., and someone from the social justice side, and these people are like a cult when it comes to Anita Sarkeesian. I mean, I've seen paintings they've done of her where she's like beatified and a Byzantine icon with a halo around her head, and it's like, what is wrong with you people? I mean, they probably meant it satirically, but still, it looks bad. And someone called in 10 bomb threats to the location that they were at, and in Washington, D.C., calling in bomb threats.
Because of her painting was there?
No, just because it was people who she hated.
I see.
I mean, she dragged herself into the Gamergate controversy. She's not a journalist.
Right.
So why she would think that she's in any way relevant to a controversy about gaming journalism is beyond anyone. But she wanted to get in because then, I'm a victim. Listen to me, more relevance for Anita Sarkeesian. Yeah, get out, But anyway, her activists, and it's strongly suspected that it was a progressive journalist called Arthur Chu, because he was going mental on Twitter when this meeting was being publicized on Twitter, and everyone was like, this is great, and Milo, Christina Hoff Sommers, and a bunch of other celebrities were there, and like he was flipping out, and he was like, and he literally said, "It ends tonight," and it's like, what does that mean, Arthur? Why? I mean, it ends tonight. What are you going to strap on a suicide vest or something? And then someone calls in a bunch of bomb threats. So maybe it was him. I don't know.
Wow.
But he's the only lead we've got. I'm not accusing him.
Yeah.
But anyway, but someone from their camp has done this, and we never find out who it is. And it's not like their people don't harass and dox. And so when she's calling people harassers, it's like, dude, you've been harassing people in the gaming industry for years, and she's such a bigot. She's been out there, and the reason that I think it's mostly people who are like 15-year-old Call of Duty players who actually send her abuse. Because on her Feminist Frequency website, and this is how long I've been dealing with this, right? She put this is 24 hours of abuse I got on Twitter. And it was something like 126 messages that weren't nice. They weren't threats, but they were just saying things like, fuck off, bitch. And don't send her that. I'm just saying that was what the sort of thing.
Don't abuse her.
And so what I did is I did a video where I literally just went through every single one. And I videoed myself going through it. Who the fuck is this person? Most of them were coming from the Call of Duty communities. Because she spends a lot of time telling men they're toxic. And they literally call it toxic masculinity because these kids like playing aggressive, macho video games like Call of Duty and stuff like this. And she hates that. She hates masculinity. She hates violence. She's a sex negative pacifist. So if it's got guns or titties in it, she's like, oh my God, this is oppressing women. And then she'll call all these people bad people for enjoying this media. They're not bad people for enjoying it. And unsurprisingly, a bunch of 15-year-old kids just tell her to get fucked. But the people who are actually having a problem aren't those people, because that part of the industry is not interested in what Anita Sarkeesian has to say.
Right.
They literally, they can't afford to even listen to a damn word. But the people in the other sections of the industry who are affected by this, and it's more like the activists putting pressure on other game developers and stuff like this, are your regular sort of gamer neckbeard types. They don't play Call of Duty. They play more, just more regular games. That's a specific community, and they're getting lumped in. And these people are being unjustly treated. And these are the sort of people who want to say, look, we're not oppressing women. I mean, and the worst part about it is these people are usually not wealthy, they're not handsome, they're a bit socially awkward, and they use video games as a way of forming their own communities and escaping the outside world where they are bullied at school. And Anita Sarkeesian comes in and she's basically bullying them. And she's been incredibly divisive to the industry, and she doesn't want to accept that she's a powerful woman. And I shouted at her, look, you are powerful. You can go to the UN because people tweeted you. You must be powerful.
Right.
And she won't accept any responsibility for the way she abuses her power.
Now, I think you've hit on the heart of the issue here, which is, I think why gamers, a lot of them, the 15-year-old kids who are being abusive and overreacting to, right, which you shouldn't. Don't do that.
No,
don't harass her. Don't harass anyone online. Yeah. Don't abuse them online.
No.
I think the reason they're reacting so strongly is because it's like you described. They don't have very many friends. They are socially awkward. They feel
no. The 15-year-old kids are different to the kind of neckbeard types. This is what I'm trying to delineate. They're like the Call of Duty gamers and the neckbeards. The neckbeards want to talk. The 15-year-old kids they don't give a shit. They just want to say, "Hey, bitch, fuck off, make me a sandwich," blah blah. Mm-hmm. And they make jokes about the slime. But the sort of neckbeards are sort of the people who watch me.
Right.
We want to talk about what she's saying. Hey, dude, I realize that. I'm a fucking
and she's tying you in with the 15-year-old dudes.
Exactly. The 15-year-old dude's got no interest in any of this, but the sort of neckbeard crew, that we want to talk about why you think this. Because the thing is, she's obviously got an inaccurate and one-dimensional view of the world, lumping all men as tremendous oppressors of women. And these dudes are kind of oppressed by society. They're not hands. I mean, Jordan Peterson, a psychologist, he said, look, would you rather be a minority or would you rather be ugly?
That's an interesting question. I think I would choose minority.
Everyone.
Yeah, I'd be a hot minority.
Exactly.
I am a hot minority.
Everyone chooses.
You're talking one, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Winner. Everyone chooses minority because being ugly is a bad thing in society. And unfortunately, I'm not saying this to be insulting to anyone who might like my content, but we're not the best looking bunch. And I include myself in that as well. And this means that, being attractive is a form of social privilege.
Sure.
There's no doubt about it. Attractive people go further in life on the basis that they're attractive.
Yeah, and I always ask people, I said, point to an attractive homeless person.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't exist. Exactly.
We're in LA. It's a bad example. But,
but anywhere else in the world, there are no attractive
listen, by the way, this is why I've always said, all these anti-feminists, why don't you guys fucking clean up a little bit? Trim your fucking facial hair. Get in shape. Fucking get a hot girlfriend. Just fucking, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely...
You can win.
Yeah. That's and it's because I think a lot of them lack self-confidence. And they don't, I guess they feel that they can't win, and so they don't even try. And so what they do is they think, well, actually what I'd rather do is just escape into the sort of community of video game nerds. And this community has always been really inclusive. I mean, it's always been incredibly mixture of racial diversity, but it's always been inclusive of women who want to come in and act as the community acts, and like the social misfit women who go in, and you've always had them in every. I mean, I've been in Dungeons and Dragons, board games, all this sort of stuff. I'm such a nerd. I always have been, and there have always been a handful of girls, and mostly guys, but there's always been a handful of girls who are kind of socially awkward, and you all hang out, and you're accepting of everyone, regardless of whether they're a bit weird, because you've got an interest, you've got a hobby, you get on with it, and you play the games and whatnot. She doesn't want to do any of that. She wants to come in and divide and rule effectively, and she's marginalizing these people, and these people are the ones who pay their money to build these communities. They made this.
Sure.
She can get bent. She's got no right.
Well, it's fascinating, and I can't wait to hear what happens, because this is day two of it. The next day, the panel number 2, which you're going to.
This was day 1. Tomorrow is day 2, and she's on a panel with herself, obviously, and Boogie 2988. And
I love Boogie 2988.
He's right up there, competing for the top spot of my favorite people on the internet. It's just individuals of good character. I Anthony Fantano, Boogie 2988, and JonTron. Even through the controversy, JonTron is still a man of good character, even though he fucked up in this debate and he was misinformed about a bunch of stuff. These are good people.
I don't know JonTron, but I do know Boogie 2988.
Yeah,
real quick before we move on, we need to get to the debate from last week.
It's going to be a long episode. But it's a special episode.
It was important to talk about.
Absolutely.
This is quality stuff. We don't get Sargon here every week.
I know.
We should.
I'll stop rambling.
You should fly out here.
Yeah, come out, dude. You got a place to crash.
Fucking
yeah.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But it's a hell of a flight. It is.
Well, guys, we should talk about the debate from last week. Last week we had on Joey Salads.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My hero.
And we had. And I just did his podcast recently, which was super fun, just bonkers. But it ended up being a really fun and good podcast with him and his girlfriend, Tanisha. South African, so he's dating an African American.
There you go.
There you go.
Racist? I think not. He's dating a white girl from South Africa.
Yeah, but he's probably... she's white, is she?
She's she's
Oh, so
white.
He's definitely white. I mean, he could have got a black girl from South Africa, but he was like, no, white.
He's got away. I don't think he...
Jerry Sanders confirmed racist.
Yeah. Well, he did wear a Ku Klux Klan hood during our interview at some point, so there is that.
Where did you get that from, Joey?
His closet.
Where did you get it to put it in the closet?
he's just like, well, I made the hood. I'm like, I can see that. It looks like shit. But the robe, he didn't. He goes, well, no, I bought the robe. It's a wizard costume. I'm like, yeah, a grand wizard costume, Joey. And then at some point I was like, what are you doing with your life, man? Like,
I met him today. He was a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. I don't think there's a racist bone in his body, but he is doing. He's
not many racist bones.
Oh,
he told me his MO. He said, look, I'm running a business, and this gets views, and it gets a controversy, and it gets people watching, and it's it's how I make my living. So.
And nobody needs to be perfect, but you have to be a good person and work hard, which he does. He's been releasing videos every Monday at 3 p.m. since fucking forever. And all you critics listening at home, oh, I don't like Joey Salads. What have you done lately? All you do is sit and fucking talk shit. Why don't you produce some fucking content?
Yeah. Well, stop masturbating.
I actually spoke to him. He was like, look, basically, like with the prank stuff, it's... the prank stuff, it's overblown. It's for the views, it's for the laughs, it's entertainment. But when he goes and does something like this serious news, like he went to Sweden to see about the ghettos and stuff like that, and him and Tim Pool both came back with exactly the same answers. Oh shit, there's a problem in Sweden. And I'm telling you, as someone who lives in England, and we've got the same sort of problems, there is a problem with these communities. They become I won't get into it, but like he was saying, look, when I cover anything that's like a political event, dude, I'm never going to try and fictionalize that, and I've got no reason to disbelieve it. I mean, why would he? It was silly to do so.
Well, so last week, Joey on the podcast, we had the debate on whether or not Michelle Carter. Now, she's the girl who I think at the age of 17 or 18 had texted and coerced her boyfriend to commit suicide.
Oh, I heard something about this. I don't know.
And he killed himself.
Oh, fucking hell.
And they released the transcripts of these texts. It was
male privilege, huh?
It was very egregious, these texts. I mean, the guy was clearly suffering from depression and a whole host of mental issues.
Well, he's been oppressing women his whole life. Wouldn't you kill yourself at one point?
Yeah,
no, I don't.
Imagine the guilt that builds up.
So we asked the audience. We asked the audience whether or not she was guilty or it was free speech. And with 85% of the vote, guilty.
Harassment.
Incitement.
Guilty. No, she was absolutely guilty and the judge based it entirely on, it all came down to one phone call that she made to her friend. And on this phone call, she said to her friend, it was my fault. I could have saved him. I could have stopped it. She said that. She admitted that to her friend, and it absolutely was. If you read these transcripts, the kid was having second thoughts. He got out of the cabin, which, by the way, he's already sitting in his cabin and being
how did he kill himself?
Breathing these gases in.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he basically, I think he got a generator, like a gas generator, and put it in the back of the truck.
Carbon monoxide poisoning, right?
Right, and put the hose into the cab, and then. Even then, after breathing the gas and fumes for a while, he said, "I don't want to do this anymore." She texted him and said, "Get back in." That's how.
I think she sounds pretty fucking guilty to me.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And speaking of noxious gases, I also talked about a case where someone was arrested for flatulence, and I asked,
"What?"
This was a while ago, and I asked the audience, "Should excessive flatulence be illegal?" And with a 67% vote, the audience voted no. No,
only
not illegal.
67%. How can you make flatulence illegal?
I'll tell you what. I looked up the case. It was a cop a while ago who was fucking around at the office or whatever, the unit, and he farted in another cop's face, and the cop pressed assault charges again.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we should get some voicemail. I got some voicemail. I think this guy's a hater. Listen to this. Listen to this dude.
You know, I started listening to more of this episode. Man, you guys sound like a bunch of children who know nothing, and you're arguing about crap you guys don't know anything about. Go back to arguing about pizza. My God, that was a great episode. The pizza episode, hands down, greatest episode ever. These, like, philosophical debates on serious issues, and you guys talking about all this shit, like, it's absurd how stupid you guys sound. Ugh.
I love the way he still sounds kind of amused.
Yeah.
He's still like...
Yeah. Oh, you guys are children. You guys don't know shit.
Talk about pizza.
Yeah, talk about pizza. And then here's the thing.
How is that an intellectual topic?
How is anything he said a valid criticism? He just said we were shitty, but he didn't say specifically how. It wasn't constructive. You didn't address anything we actually said. You know what? Here's something we do know a lot about. That's right, you're douchebag of the week, shithead.
Yeah.
Why don't you learn a thing or two about criticism before you criticize the critics?
Yeah.
I don't like you. This is my criticism. Oh, thanks very much.
Here's a call about Joey Salads. Listen to this.
Shit.
Man, I'm listening to this episode with Joey Salads, and I gotta say, the guy sounds like...
Oh, and it cut off. Nice fuck up. So that guy called in to criticize Joey Salads. He called multiple times, and he called in again to try to correct his fuck up. But you know what, guy?
Yeah.
That's right. You're a douchebag. You're also a douchebag.
That's right.
Here's another one about a caller from the same county that the girl was found guilty in. Listen to this.
All right, so I'm actually from Bristol County, and you guys are actually missing a major point of the story. So, what happened was the girl was actually... Oh, fuck.
Nice try, idiot. So I love how when they call in to correct us, they fuck up. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Here's another one. We haven't had one of these calls in a while, but we had a controversy on this podcast.
Wow.
Now, do you have Domino's in?
Yeah, pizza.
Do you like it? Is it?
I don't eat a lot of takeaway, to be honest.
Okay, well that's smart. That's
But
smart.
I don't dislike it.
Well, no offense, the British are not known for great food.
No, but
So,
that's American
shots fired.
food, so don't get me wrong. That's why I don't eat it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn, he got you there, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's a call. Here's a call about Domino's versus Papa John's.
Uh-oh.
Hi, Maddox. I'm calling for the first time, so I'm super excited. I know I'm really late to the party, but I was away for 6 months in France studying abroad. But I live in New York, and right near the Culinary Institute of America, I constantly see both Domino's and Papa John's delivery cars going into the school. And if those kids are supposed to have, like, the greatest palates, and they're supposed to be professional chefs, and they prefer Papa John's and Domino's, I think everybody is right. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Love the show. Rucka, you're great. Mikey, you're great. Fucking Nazi.
Fucking Nazi
Wow.
to you, too.
It's like the most positive human being I've ever heard.
That's like one of the most positive. One of the most positive
Why
calls
not
we've
the
ever
rest
received.
of the world? Why can't we all just be like that?
Yeah. Well, here's a call that's not very positive.
Uh-oh.
Listen to this.
Yeah, you guys are talking about this girl's court ruling like it isn't judicial activism. You know, Marbury versus Madison gave the courts the power of judicial review, not the power to write laws like they think legislatures are too slow on. You know, I don't expect any of you to know that, you know, seeing as none of you have degrees. Rucka, you know, thanks for holding down the fort, you know?
Yep.
For all of us moderates, Maddox, you are a moderate. Every time you get political, I want to just challenge you to a duel. You know?
You should take him
Just
up
rip
on
the
that.
fucking white glove off and smack you across the nose with it.
Do it.
Shouldn't
Do
be
it.
too hard to miss. Then I shoot you in the fucking leg. You'll be walking home looking like one of those sad hobo clowns. You know?
This guy's awesome.
Anyway, Mikey,
He's roasting you.
keep up the good work.
Keep up
Last
the good
guy
work.
Maddox had didn't know when to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like one of those yapping dogs, you know? Just want to punch it across the room, abuse it a little. Do you know it can't
Jesus
tattle
Christ.
on you?
All right, now he's going too far.
Anyway, Maddox, you're bald and ugly and always will be. So have a nice day, asshole.
What a fucking piece of shit. Can you believe that guy? Talk about human garbage, am I right? Where's Anita when you need her?
Yeah.
We should get Anita on this podcast.
You going to tell him he's wrong there?
Yeah. First of all, shithead, for your minute and a half long fucking forever phone call complaining about yappy people who talk too much, why don't you do a little self-reflection, dipshit?
Wow.
Why don't you time your phone calls from now on, moron?
That's deep.
Every second of this podcast is valuable.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make those mad stacks on Madcast.
Yeah.
So stop wasting our time. Here's one last call. We got to get through these. This one, it's a caller call out.
Ooh.
When callers call out other callers. Yeah. Here it is.
It's on.
Fucking guy who called in talking about, oh, Maddox isn't a real Pantera fan because he didn't say the complete name of that song. Fuck that guy. This is bullshit. You claim to follow Maddox and love him so damn much, but you're sitting here, you can't even find a valid criticism for him. All the shit he says, and that's what you're going to come up with is, he didn't say the last 3 words of that song.
Caller call out.
Yeah.
And fuck that. Fuck you. You clearly have no idea what you're talking about and do not appreciate Maddox's genius. punch a Nazi, but also punch that guy.
Yeah. Smart. I like that guy. Finally, a good caller.
So only 4 douchebags of the week this week?
Only 3, I think, yeah.
Sargon does a segment on his channel, This Week in Stupid. Yeah. We're going to start forwarding you our callers.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, your content for days.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen we've all seen Twitter. There's it's the worst. All right, guys, we should move on to the debate though. Coming up at the end of the show, we've got some quick news headlines, but joining me again as always is my first hand-on-staff moderator. Let's hear his buzzer. There it is. And Sargon as our guest this week. Let's hear yours. And here's mine. If you guys hear any of these buzzers, that means one of us disagreed with the other or someone made a factual mistake. We may have said a fallacy or contradiction, and we're free to call each other out with these buzzers or just chime in if we want to talk. But we want to talk about the debate this week. Guys, with gender identity politics constantly in the news, there seems to be a growing trend that seems disturbing to some. White identity. Now, white people are jumping on the bandwagon with a Me Too for their own cultural identity, which some have decried as racist. So that leads us. You'll get to your objection in a second if I can finish this fucking intro, Rucka. Buzz your buzz.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it leads us to the debate this week. Should white identity exist? What's your objection already?
White people are jumping on this too? How many people are actually part of this white nationalist, white identity movement?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. But that's the debate this week.
All right.
Yeah, I chose it because I am a sucker for punishment. Or I get called alt-right all the time, and I'm just sat there going, like, dude, I am against identity politics of all forms. I don't care if you're white, if you're black, if you're female, if you're gay, just don't tell me, look, I have a thing about me. It's not an argument. I don't give a shit.
I have a thing about me. Everybody wants some fucking thing. And you know what? It's extended more than just race and gender. It's also fucking food. It's your gluten allergy. It's your veganism.
Dude, I'm left-handed. I deserve special treatment. Fuck off, do I deserve special treatment being left-handed? Get out of it.
All right, Rucka. So your objection was that you're saying white people, there isn't a white identity? Is that what your objection is?
No, you were framing it in a way that like there's this massive like white people, aka literally everyone in America has now joined this thing. It's like a fucking tiny fucking group of people that are playing the same ridiculous game that you assholes have been playing for a long time. You with your Mercedes and your fucking bucket of cologne that you pour on your head every day.
Okay,
you with
racist. Here we go. You crossed the line, okay? Stereotypes.
All right.
Yeah. Nice going, Hitler. I did it. There you go.
There you go. Call somebody Hitler and the debate is over.
So you're playing the SJW side very well already, Go.
Yeah, okay. So we should say that on the show, especially for first-time listeners, I know, Sargon, a lot of your listeners will be hearing the show for the first time. We argue both sides of a debate, and then you decide which side is more persuasive. On madcastmedia.com, go to the website. You can vote on which side you agree with more. And then next week, we talk about who won that debate. So check it out, and we are going to argue this. Now, which side of the debate do you want to argue?
Right. I'm going to take the alt-right side because
Which is what?
Which is that white people deserve an identity, and when someone like Cat Black, and I say Cat Black, so I watched a panel with her today. She was literally saying, "Oh, I've embraced my blackness," and before I was just a normal person, just being like everyone else. But then I realized I could embrace my blackness. I hate that kind of crap. What does that even mean? It sounds like she's just embracing a stereotype.
Embracing her blackness?
Yeah, she's just embracing the fact that she's black and she can use it against other people, right?
Well, if you don't define it, that could mean anything to anyone, which is...
Well, they have a definition. That's what I was...
Oh, they did have a definition.
Yeah.
Okay, Rucka, and Sargon, you guys are like, oh, no.
What?
This is just a small pocket of Americans who have white identity. Wrong. I have evidence here.
Let's hear it.
Okay? This is an article from New Republic. It's titled "The Rise of White Identity Politics."
Oh, yeah. Let me guess. Sargon.
What?
Sargon is on the list?
Am I in this list?
Yeah, I guarantee fucking Dave Rubin.
Oh,
fucking,
my God. If we're in there,
I guarantee you're on the list. Read the full fucking article. You're on there.
I will not read the full article.
That's fucking perfect.
Oh, hold on. New Republic has a headline. I guarantee fucking Chris Ray Gunn is on the list.
Hang on. I think New Republic are actually fairly reasonable. I think they're talking like, when they say the rise, they're probably thinking like, like Richard Spencer Spencer gained like 500 subscribers or something. Yeah.
Well, the subtitle of this article is, it says here, "The age of Trump largely exists because of a resurgent white racial identity."
Oh, Jesus, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're nuts.
Well, New Republic generally is a right-leaning publication,
I
right?
don't find them to be wacko SJW stuff. So
Right.
Normally,
Yeah,
They're pretty
and
right-leaning.
Wall Street Journal are also, they tend to lean right, and they fucking turn PewDiePie into Hitler. So, like, just because they tend to lean right doesn't mean they're not jumping on this
Oh my God.
fucking...
No, that's true.
How about we get to the
Listen,
evidence?
by the way, hold on. Even if this white identity thing was fucking big, even if it was the majority of white people, that would be white people playing the same game everyone else has been playing for decades.
Yeah.
It would be them playing catch up with the same
I don't
retarded fucking pointless game. This race to the bottom where nobody wins. The winner is the biggest loser. You're a fucking loser. You won this game. Congratulations. You're a victim.
Thanks for ruining the debate, Rucka.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. I'll get my little wrap
Yeah,
up.
but yeah.
I'll let you guys do your thing.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Little wrap
You
up.
keep
It already
pulling me
started.
into this.
I'm
You
not
keep
pulling
turning
shit.
to me.
I'm not pulling
When did
shit,
the
Rucka.
fucking deputy moderator commanding bottom
First hand on
bitch
staff.
get a chance? Get the right to interject. You keep pulling me into
I'm
this
not pulling
debate.
you. Here.
All right, go ahead. Read
Good.
your little article.
Can I just get to the fucking evidence before you
Yeah.
shit all over it?
All right,
Ad hominem attack.
Hold on, we got evidence. Let's
Yeah,
hear
okay,
the
let's
evidence.
hear about the legions
Someone
of
wrote
Nazis.
something.
Strawman Ali over here.
Someone wrote something.
Yeah,
Let's-
someone wrote something.
That's
A
evidence.
scholar, an academic, or someone.
Oh, academic.
Yeah, what
Coming
do you got?
coming from a fucking dropout.
Oh, you're a fucking dropout. I am the
We're all fucking
foremost
dropouts.
academic on the show. Sargon, how much schooling have you had? What's the highest level of schooling?
I went to university and I did computer science and I hated every second of it, so I left after the
Okay,
second
we
year.
all did. We all did.
I got 2 years in, so you know.
Oh, 2 years? Aha, 4 years over here. And I dropped
goddamn.
out with one test left to go. And he dropped out of community college. Therefore, I am the foremost academic.
No,
I am the foremost.
I might have spent more than 4 years in and out of community college. I could probably have a PhD
Look,
by
he-
now.
he's
What a
using the
dud.
fact that he was set back a few years as an advantage here. Let him have it.
yeah, it's me.
All right.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
as the foremost academic here in this
Yeah.
room, okay, can I read this learned
Go
man's
ahead.
article
Read
here?
your little article.
New Republic. It's on your guys' side. It says here, many political commentators credit Donald Trump's rise to white voters' antipathy toward racial and ethnic minorities. However, we believe this focus on racial resentment obscures another important aspect of racial thinking. In a study of white Americans' attitudes and candidate preferences, we found that Trump's success reflects the rise of white identity politics, an attempt to protect the collective interests of white voters via the ballot box. Whereas racial prejudice refers to animosity toward other racial groups, white identity politics reflects a sense of connection to fellow white Americans. What do you think of that, Sargon? Is that pretty accurate, do you think?
I don't know how much of an impact that it had. I mean, there are certainly people who do think that. I mean, Richard Spencer is the poster boy of this movement, and that's exactly his argument, you know. But I really think it's important to know that I don't believe in any of this nonsense. This is completely antithetical to my political beliefs, but I understand their political beliefs well enough to argue this. So that's why I'm doing it.
So what you're doing is what? You're arguing what position?
I'm arguing that we should have a white racial identity.
Okay. So
And the worst part is I think I've got some strong arguments for it.
And this is purely rhetorical, where you're saying, okay, why do you think that we should have a white racial identity?
Because the SJWs have a black racial identity.
Well, when you say SJWs, you're lumping, that's a huge category of people.
But the hard left, you know, the sort of like, you know, and it's not just white. I mean, black. I mean, you know, the Latinos and every racial category apart from white is allowed a racial identity. I mean, even Jews are allowed a racial identity, and then they'll lump themselves in with white people. So and then white people, if these are the sorts of rhetorical weapons used to make arguments and win arguments, white people are being left deliberately defenseless.
It's a reaction or response to their identity politics.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is.
And if that's the case, then we're heading to the bottom.
But
and
the worst part about that is it's also the alt-right argument. I mean, they will say, well, everyone else has it, why can't we have it?
Right.
And the SJWs go, well, that's evil. And so, okay, but if having identity politics is evil, then you're fucking already evil, aren't you?
Well, that's exactly the problem with, I think, that most people have, myself included, with the demonization of white people.
Absolutely.
Because they're saying, okay, well, it's tit for tat. Look what you're doing to us. We're going to do it to you.
Yep.
Guys, what that's going to result in isn't going to be equalization, isn't going to be equality, isn't going to be fairness. What it's going to result in is a new class of victim, and it's going to be a white victim.
You see this all the time. It's all, and I don't like using the term anti-white, but I can't think of a better term when they say white people are shit. I mean, how is that not anti-white? And it just stokes the fire of the alt-right. I mean, it gives them a real victim complex because they really are victims of people who are being racially discriminatory on the basis that they are white. But you can't do that back, obviously, because that's racist. But they've made up an excuse on the SJW side. Say, actually, well, we're not really being racist. Yeah, you fucking are, and you know it.
Right. Now, one of the worst things I've ever heard, the worst ideas I've ever heard, modern idea, is, and it comes from women's studies. And
what a surprise.
Feminist literature. It is.
Shock.
I've seen it in a textbook. I don't know. I need to source it and see if it's a real textbook this came from, but it's a line that says, you cannot be sexist against men.
Oh, it's real.
Because you cannot be sexist against anyone who holds all the power in an institution.
Yep, that's real.
And therefore, you can say or do whatever you want, and it's not sexist.
Yeah.
It's a fallacy. It's a 100% a fallacy because it's making the presumption that there is a society where there is a ruling class and a ruled class, right? But if you take yourself out of your fucking paradigm for 5 seconds and look at another country like India, where there might be 2 classes that rule equally, men and women could be ruling equally, right? Then can you be sexist against men?
Well, this goes into like the details of social justice ideology. It's entirely focused around power because everything about it is power plus privilege. And so whether it's men, whether it's white people, whether it's cisgendered people, not trans people, if you are the dominant group, you are considered to have power. Right. Now, unfortunately, this is true, but it is unfortunate that it has to be this way. Right? There is simply no other way because what that means is that the minority has to agree and assent to the conditions set by the majority, because otherwise you have the majority who are being dictated the conditions to by the minority. That's an aristocracy. That's the problem with aristocracy. The reverse is a democracy, and the power of the people, the power of the majority. That's how we are going to essentially maintain our freedom.
Sure.
Otherwise, we're going to have an aristocratic class of people who are literally, they're going to run around telling you what you have to do, and they will be the minority. Where is the legitimacy for what they're doing?
So the 2 options are a small group ruling over people, or a large group of people ruling over the minority?
Well, they also rule over themselves.
How about just a set of principles that allow us to be free?
Oh, I agree. I mean, but in principle, I mean, like, it's in no way just to have a minority group of any people. I mean, in past eras, it was aristocrats, rich, powerful, wealthy people who commanded armies and whatnot, ruling over the vast majority of the plebeians.
Sure, like feudal times.
Yeah, exactly, and it becomes oppressive because these people.
Well, it is oppressive.
Of course, it is. Yeah. Right. But it's not oppressive to have the majority having the majority rule. It can't be. I mean, that's what a democracy is. That's the benefit of a democracy. They're not being oppressed by a minority of the people in their society.
Yeah, but people are being persecuted, though, right? I mean, if most Germans wanted
we're not persecuting black people. We're not persecuting women. They're lying. They're making it up that they are being oppressed.
I guess I took issue with the thing about the majority versus the minority. There's this false dichotomy, but
absolutely.
Anyway,
but we're not going to sit there and go, well, you know what? Just because you want this some way, then everyone has to assent to your demands. We don't. And we're not going to. And it's crazy to think that we will. And the worst part about all of this, right, is that when they say, right, anti-white, 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 by the way, white people are not allowed an identity. Well, unfortunately, you've created the identity by just coming down their throats for them being white. Eventually, you're going to get, I mean, it's inevitable that Richard Spencer or some facsimile of him is going to pop up and say, you know what? White people are actually pretty good. Look at all the benefits of being white. Look at our glorious history. Look at Rome. Look at Greece. Look at democracy. Look at all the intellectual achievements of white people, because these are all true. You can't take that away. That white people have achieved a hell of a lot. And then suddenly, if white people go, you know what? I'm not a piece of shit. I'm actually great. In fact, now we are going to have, white people, and now we are back to basically the colonial era. And well done, social justice warriors. You made that happen by persecuting white people and trying to make them feel guilty.
Sargon, that is a fantastic argument.
Thank you.
for my side of the debate. Thank you for that.
That's against you.
Go ahead.
I'll go on. I'll go on with this article here. It makes some kind of interesting points here about the rise of white identity. It says the concept of garden variety white racial identity stands in contrast to conventional wisdom. In the last 3 decades of scholarship on whiteness as a race, the prevailing views has been that most whites fail to notice their own whiteness. In a society dominated by white people, whiteness simply fades into the background. Just as fish fail to notice the water around them, whites are unlikely to think about how they are members of a distinct group. Now, I'll say this personally. Look, I'm ethnically Armenian. I'm not white enough to be considered white, and I'm not brown enough to be considered anything that gets me any fucking advantages.
Have you tried going on the Young Turks?
No, I don't know. I know so little about the Young Turks except they're
oh my god!
I tell him all the time he needs to milk his ethnicity.
How though? How can someone just give me something?
Just fucking act like a victim and say whatever the fuck you want.
The Armenian Genocide, reference that.
Yeah, but I don't.
That probably happened.
Do you know what the Armenian Genocide was conducted by a political party called the Young Turks. Yeah. They killed 1.5 million Armenians.
The Young Turks did.
Yeah, Cenk Uygur is a Turkish man who names his TV show after a genocidal regime, and then his co-host is an Armenian.
Right, that's so weird.
Imagine if a German guy called his party the Hitler Youth, and then got a Jewish guy to be his co-host. That's what Cenk Uygur is doing, and nobody ever wants to.
Was the Young Turks primarily motivated by killing Armenians, or was it just like a political movement that happened to commit a genocide?
What's the distinction there?
I mean, how long did the Young Turks last for?
I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't know enough about the Armenian genocide because for the most part we don't really talk about it.
It was a deliberate campaign of genocide. They marched them through a desert and let them all starve to death on this giant death march that killed 1.5 million. There's photos of it everywhere. You can look it up. Yeah. It's really fucking awful. And Cenk has denied it in past times. I think after enough people were like, it actually did happen, he's gone. I think he's kind of backtracked on this slightly, but still, okay. Now Cenk, your show is still named after a genocidal regime, and now you admit it's a genocidal regime, and you still have an Armenian, one of the genocided group, on your show. What are you going to do about that? Nothing. He doesn't want to talk about it. Why would you want to talk about it?
I had no idea actually until today about any of this with the Young Turks or the name of the group or anything.
And the thing is, the Young Turks is also in English it can also mean like an upstart group because they were a revolutionary group.
Okay.
And that's why he's chosen it. And I guess the genocide denial was kind of important for him choosing it. And he'd written a paper on this and everything.
Interesting. So
it's not like he just didn't know.
Well,
he'd thought about this.
You know what's interesting about him having an Armenian co-host, and this is the criticism that Milo Yiannopoulos gets also for being a gay person who is on the alt-right end of the spectrum.
He's actually not, right? Because this is the thing. People don't know what the alt-right is. And this is why they will. I mean, I'm a social liberal and I get called alt-right. And all they're saying is that it's not progressive. The alt-right is a white identitarian movement. It's very traditionalist, very Christian, mostly, as far as I can tell. They are collectivists. They are identitarians. They are very much concerned with white Europeans. Milo is a gay Jew.
Right.
He's not traditional, obviously. He's flamboyant, excessive. They hate him. They absolutely hate him. It was the sort of like center-right Republicans who really quite like Milo. They're all, they're pro-Jewish, they're pro-Israel. These people are sort of, and they've been beasted around by the far left for a long time, just with them screeching, "Hey, you're a fucking white male," and stuff like this. And these guys, well, yeah, I am. What's wrong with that? Well, white people have done evil things, blah, 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 blah. And so when Milo came along, they can't just go, "Well, you're a fucking white male." He's like, "Well, I don't give a shit. I'm also a gay Jew. Fuck you." Blah, blah, blah. And he's got good arguments against them too. So it's they hate Milo like he's Satan because of this. But the alt-right, Milo, when he was on his ascendancy, the alt-right was, if you went to their message boards, and I read everything. I literally read everything I can get my hands on because I want to understand what people think. And they were like, there is a gay Jew nigger fucker on our team, and he's kicking the arse of the left. And this is another thing. Milo only sleeps with black guys, which is not exactly favored by a white identitarian movement who are trying to preserve the white race.
I don't know, Sargon. If you follow his Snapchat, he may be sleeping with more than some black guys. There's some funny snaps going on. I'll just say that much.
But you know what? He likes black guys. You know, and so the alt-right who they're anti-miscegenation and all this sort of stuff. They're anti-abortion. And they're just like, we hate Milo. And they hate literally everyone who doesn't adhere to these principles in the same way that the social justice warriors hate everyone who don't agree with theirs. It's ridiculous. These people are just idiots. When they're saying, "Oh, everyone's all right," you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, here's the problem with the rise of white identity politics, okay? And this is the problem with any identity politics, is that you are trying to create stereotypes. You are literally creating groups of people who are supposed to act the same and think the same. I had an Uber driver a couple months ago sitting in the back of the car, and he was a black dude, and he brought up a great topic to have on a fucking short Uber ride, which is, hey, what do you think of Trump? I'm like, and I first of all, I don't like him, but I just wanted to say something kind of that you could read either way. So I just said, boy, shit's crazy right now, huh? And he goes, yeah, I hope he pulls through. I was not expecting that answer.
Yeah.
But
there were a surprising number of black people who voted for Trump.
Sure. Surprising number. And there was also the incident of a church that was vandalized with Trump on it down south, and then it was set on fire, I believe. Well, they caught the guy, and they found out that the guy was black.
Yep.
And then the right, the Trump supporters, were like, wiped their hands clean and said, there you go. It's another liberal trying to do a hoax, blah, blah, blah. But they just completely dismissed the possibility of a black Trump voter.
Yeah.
And both sides do this.
Yeah.
And so what happens with you when you have white identity politics, black identity politics, any identity politics, is, first of all, you're creating a label for a group of people, and you're saying that group of people all thinks the same way. Yeah. And it's dangerous. It's basically you're creating stereotypes in an era where we are trying to get post-stereotype. We're trying to consider people as individuals and consider their ideas for their own merits, not the skin color that it comes from. Mm-hmm. We're not judging people by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. To quote Martin Luther King.
What a racist statement. No, there was, I would have to look it up, but it was some university or something that removed that quote because they found it racist.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, was it Oberlin? I bet it was fucking Oberlin.
I'll have to look it up. But it was just one of those things where they're taking down MLK quotes because they're not progressive, they're not intersectional. Because under intersectional ideology, that's a racist thing. I mean, I was watching this Cat Black panel today, and they were just shitting all over the idea of not judging people based on their race. And they were like, well, you know what? I think you're bullshitting me. It's like, what do you mean you're bullshitting you? Well, I'm black. Okay, but I don't care if you're fucking black. I'm black. Okay. What does that even tell me about you? What are you a criminal? Are you saying you're a criminal? No, of course not. Are you saying that you've got I don't know. What does that tell you about someone?
This is a difficult thing to talk about because on one hand, by saying somebody is black, you can't make assumptions about them, which is great.
Exactly.
But then there is also, it is useful sometimes to say that because someone is black, they may be more likely to have experienced X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, but but then when you go to a statistical average, you can't just directly apply that to an individual because they might not fall into it.
To an individual, no, but with a higher degree of probability, maybe.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. But even then, you can just ask the individual whether that's the case. I mean, if you're a doctor or something, then yeah, you do need to know because, black people are more likely to get, heart conditions or something like that. I don't know,
They're more likely to get gold medals in running.
Yeah, exactly. But white people are more likely to get bowel cancer or something. But that's like a physiological problem. It's not a character judgment.
Right.
You don't know anything about this guy. You don't know how he's lived his life. You don't know how don't know anything about this person. So when they go, hey, you're a white male, it's like, yeah, but that's not a judgment on my character. No, so why did you even bring it up?
Sargon, what do you think of this concept of white invisibility? Now, I think what they mean by that is that sometimes I'm guilty of this. When I sit down and write scripts and I write characters, the default character in my mind is a white dude. And that's just because that's how I envision things. That's the voice I hear. That's the person I see. And whenever I'm thinking of a superhero, immediately the superhero that pops into my mind is a white guy, usually.
Is it the context that you're imagining it in, though? Because I mean, I really, really enjoy history, and if I'm reading a book about an ancient Mesopotamian conqueror or something, I'm not picturing a white dude. I'm picturing a Middle Eastern looking guy. If I'm reading about Shaka Zulu, I'm not picturing a white dude. I'm picturing a black guy. Sure. If I'm reading about some Aztec emperor, I'm not picturing a white dude.
How about Sargon of Akkad?
He's not white.
There you go.
He's quarter black. What do you call it? Quadroon?
Quadroon, yeah, no, that's what they call it. That's what they used to insult me.
It's kind of fun. It's probably like really racist what we're just saying.
Yeah, it's a really, it is. It's from like the colonial era, where they're bringing it back. And this thing, none of this would exist if the SJWs weren't just like, white people are the problem. White people aren't the fucking problem.
I think that is exacerbating the problem by demonizing white people.
It's like making a fertile soil.
You're supposed to be debating against him.
I am saying white identity politics are a huge problem, and I think you are too. I
fucking
accident.
am, yeah.
But you're supposed to defend this shit, Sargon.
Well, no, but this is the point. Okay, yeah, well, right. So if you're going to have black identity politics, what you're saying is that white people have to be disarmed, and you can just attack us at any given turn and always say, well, hey, you're a fucking white male. And at one point, and if I say, hey, then I don't want to just be a fucking white male. I don't want to just have no defense. You'll turn around and say, well, if you say anything, you're a racist. And at that point, I'll say, okay, now what? And if white people in general say, you know what, fuck it, white people are racist. You're right. White people are all racist. We're all a bunch of racist Nazis. Get in the gas chambers. What then? Well, the black minority is going to resist the white majority? Is it? No, you're all going to get exterminated. This is why white identity... I mean, that's a ridiculous example, but you know what I mean.
Sargon, again, a fantastic argument for my side of the debate. I agree, because that is where this is leading.
Exactly.
You are othering white people by creating...
One day they'll just embrace it.
Well, sure. I was driving the other day, and I drove through a very heavily Mexican neighborhood and then a very heavily Asian neighborhood, and it's Los Angeles because so we have those. And I thought about sometimes how I see groups of Asians or groups of Mexicans who hang out together, and they kind of have common interests and they have a common culture and they kind of look out for each other. And I thought how threatened some white people must feel when they see that, because for the first time they might see that and say, oh, this is starting to become the majority, because that's what it says here. This is the type
Eventually,
of statistic.
white people will become a minority.
Yeah.
And
by 2044, it says here, non-Hispanic whites are projected to become a minority in the year 2044.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great argument for my side of the debate as well, because, well, okay, look at how you're treating us while we're the majority. Do you think that's going to change when white people become the minority? Are you suddenly going to ease off after, decades of going, what, white people are pieces of shit. They're a bunch of racist pieces of shit, and they should really feel guilty. Do you think it's going to get to the point where white people are, they're the lesser group, and then they go, actually, no, white people are okay. We've changed our mind. No bollocks, are they?
It sounds like the argument here is that white people are afraid and need to cling on to white identity because they're afraid that if minorities become the majority, which they will in 2044, that whites will be treated the way that minorities have been treated.
Well, no, the minorities aren't being treated that way. That's the thing. I mean, we don't have as far as I'm aware, the US doesn't have racially discriminatory laws. These people are making this shit up, and they're using it as a weapon because they can use it as a weapon. Because white people are, for some reason, filled with guilt. I mean, no one alive was a slave. No one alive owned slaves.
Well,
so when they sit there and go, yeah, but what about slavery? Fuck slavery. I don't give a shit.
I'll tell you personal experience of racism that my family has experienced, and I'm not
saying there aren't racists. I mean, there are racists, but what I mean is like, it's not like enshrined in law.
It's not. Oh. It's not. But the people in power.
I'm not saying there aren't other problems either, but like, I mean, how to describe it? It's like these things are individual instances of racism that should, and they're illegal. And so they should be prosecuted. These people should be removed. If you start then collectivizing it, you're taking you collectivize it. But the thing is, they never want to take any individual responsibility either. And so what do you do? Just blame all white people for one guy's act of racism. And but there are 5 acts of racism. Yeah, 5 individual acts of racism. This wasn't coordinated. It wasn't like white people got together and a small amount of us can be racist, and that's okay. No, it's not okay. That's why it was made illegal.
Well, it's not like. There are institutional laws that support racism, but in spite of that, it still does creep into things. Like, for example, I have friends who are cops, and I've gone on ride-alongs, and just more often than not, they pull over black people.
Yeah. I mean,
Rucka, they do. That's you, and that's you. That's both you guys. Both you quadroons. You get pulled over left and right. That's right.
Oh man, I'm fucked.
So in spite of that, I think that's the argument that people like Black Lives Matter would make.
And I'm not saying that's illegitimate at all. It's not illegitimate, but you can't just blame white people for that. You know, that's just being as racist as those fucking cops.
Well, sure. I think George Zimmerman in Florida was, he's like half Hispanic, quarter Hispanic, something like that, or Cuban.
The Obama voter, George Zimmerman.
That, I don't know.
The guy who used to tutor black kids in his spare time.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't mean people don't change.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he didn't decide to go out and shoot black kids for fun.
Well, he was a bully and a piece of shit, and he is a bigot. I will stand behind that. He's a garbage person.
Such a brave position. Such a brave.
I'm not saying it's a brave position, Rucka. But he is a piece of shit.
Way to stand up to everyone. And
I'm not standing up to everyone.
All right.
So anyway, George Zimmerman, piece of shit. And then the officer. So here's the thing. We just talked about this, Joey Salads and I, on his podcast. The officer who killed Falando Castile. Now, for those of you who don't know, Falando Castile was a guy who was shot during a traffic stop because the officer thought he fit the profile of somebody who robbed a liquor store or a convenience store recently, right? So the cop pulls him over, and the first thing Falando Castile says, and this is, the cop was let off, and this was very controversial. Falando Castile says, "I have a gun. It's registered. Just letting you know." Okay, he's doing the responsible thing, letting the officer know he has a gun.
Yeah.
The officer says, "Show me your driver's license and ID." He goes, "Okay." He reaches over to get it. He goes, "Don't touch the gun. Don't touch the gun." And then he's like starting to say, "I'm not." And then bam, 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 6 gunshots.
Yeah, I don't see why the officer would get off there.
Well, the officer did get off, and clearly, I don't know how the jury could have possibly not found this officer guilty, because
maybe that is a legitimate example of racism.
It's absolutely terrible, because if the guy had any intention of pulling a gun on the officer, do you think he would fucking say he has it?
It's ridiculous.
It's absurd. Yeah. And then not only did he kill this innocent man, but there was a child in the back seat, and and his girlfriend sitting in the front seat.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, and she had blood on her.
She had blood on her,
yeah, I remember,
and she kept her composure very well. But this officer then started freaking out, and he said, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck." Well, okay, dipshit. Maybe you shouldn't be on the job. Maybe you need a little bit more training. You killed an innocent guy, but you shouldn't be let off completely off the hook.
No, of course not. You know, I'm sorry. Okay, you fucked up, but that's too fucking bad. You know, you clearly weren't ready for the job. You should still be punished in whatever way you're supposed to be punished for that crime. Well,
so is it racism? That's the big question, because the officer was not white. It's Yanez, Officer Yanez. He was not. He was like Hispanic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was.
No. Let's not go down that. I mean, he might have been racist. He might have been a Hispanic guy who was just racist against black people.
Honestly, I listened to the
tape.
Well,
no, I got the textbook out. It says you're race.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the fuck, dude?
But
is he a fucking person with a fucking opinion?
Okay, that's fair. That's a good point. All right, I'll cede you that point. But it didn't sound like, just from the tape, it sounded like this guy was inexperienced and a fuck up.
Yeah.
Sounded like
the fact that he brought up a gun, it sounds like he was kind of a trigger in his head sort of thing, where he's just like, oh my God, I've got to worry about the gun, you know, because I imagine they probably do make you worry about guns in your training,
sure.
You know.
But then to empathize with the point of view from blacks, they see this stuff happen all the time in the media, and they're sick and tired of it. Yeah. And they see this and they say, okay, this happened again, and another fucking cop got off. And then the cop, from his point of view, he sees another black person and maybe that's the 5th or 6th black person he's dealt with that day, who actually, you know, the other ones may have actually committed some kind of crime or something. So he's already profiling in his mind. So back to the debate that we're talking about, when this becomes a trouble, this problem with identity, is that you start profiling people based on your past experiences or past whatever. And now black people are doing it to cops. They see this shit and they say, okay, well, we're afraid for our lives, because more often than not, we see you guys pulling over and fucking up. We're not going to play that game. So we're going to drive off. We're going to run away. We're going to do what it takes to survive you. They view them as the threat. So it's become this like toxic.
Black Lives Matter have got to the point where some activists are just calling for the abolition of the cops. It's like, no. And then they're like, oh, we want community policing. It's like, what? A community with remarkably high crime rates wants to be in control of the police. And it's like, no, the police have to be managed by the state, you know, to have proper, you know, training procedures and vetting procedures, you know. Because no, you might end up with a bunch of fucking criminals running your police stations. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, that might be the case anyway. But
you ever been to Chicago? Am I right?
Yeah. You nice. Yeah, but you want to try and have some sort of legal thing. And the thing is, like, what pisses me off about this, right? Is it's only ever black people that we're concerned about. I mean, like, how many Chinese people in America?
I'm not sure. It's like. 14%.
Not nearly enough, huh?
But the point
Not
is
enough in LA.
that
It's fucking Chinese food sucks.
ethnically distinguishable group. You can tell, or like an East Asian.
Sure.
But no one's ever complaining about the cops shooting East Asians at a remarkably high rate. But why would a racist cop be like, nah, I'm okay with East Asians? If he doesn't like non-white people, why wouldn't he be like, fuck it, I'm shooting Mexicans, I'm shooting East Asians? Why wouldn't he shoot any of them? Why is it only blacks?
Oh, yeah. Why aren't our prisons full of Japanese people? Didn't they bomb us one generation ago?
Seriously, I genuinely want to know.
Yeah, but they also don't have a common history. Blacks have the history of slavery.
What do you mean? The Japanese, and probably some other Asians weren't interned.
Yeah.
But it's not nearly the same as the black experience.
It's not as bad. It was also 70 years more recent than slavery.
But I think, do you not think it might be something to do with the crime rates relative to each group?
Well, of course it has to do with the crime rates, but then you look
So is it racism?
Is it racism? Is it racism to profile?
But no, this is my point. It's not that they're just going, oh, well, Japanese, I hate non-whites, therefore Japanese people can get fucked. They're looking at that and going, well, Japanese people don't commit all that much crime.
Right.
So I'm not going to be so scared of a Japanese person. But, and let's be honest, black people do commit a remarkably disproportionate amount of crime in America. There's no getting around these statistics.
Well, sure, but that doesn't control for the variables that black people are more likely to be pulled over. And in fact,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, but I think this is some sort of self-feeding mechanism. I mean, like, if you're a policeman, you have to patrol where the crime is most likely to happen if you have that information. And if it just happens to be it's a low-income, low marriage rate black neighborhood, which 72%, I think it was 72% of black children grow up in fathers' households.
Sure.
I imagine that produces a lot of delinquent male teenagers who are just go into these gang cultures, they get the guns, they start running drugs. But this is not racist. That's the thing. None of this is race. But if it's all based on ethnic group, then if you go to a poor black area, you're probably pretty sure that there's a lot of crime going on, a lot of guns going on. You're probably going to be nervous regardless what race you are. And it's not because they're black, it's just because of the group they happen to be in. It's not a consequence of them being black, it's a consequence of high single motherhood, high crime rate, high delinquency rates,
poverty.
That's all part of the cycle.
Right.
These all of these things naturally generate massive amounts of poverty. Poverty is heavily inextricably linked to crime as well. So suddenly, it's not racism why you would be afraid of black people having guns. It's because there are a lot of black people committing crimes and they may well have guns.
Sure.
If it was Japanese people who had high delinquency rates, low marriage rates, and all this sort of stuff, you'd be afraid of Japanese people. If they were committing a disproportionate amount of crime, you'd be afraid of Japanese people.
Right.
You'd be like, it's about the fact that they are doing these things. If black people tomorrow, they were like, right, you know what we're going to do? Black people as a race. We're going to get together. We're going to make sure we get married. That's the first thing. Then you got no choice. It's going to be mandatory. Hit 18 years old. If you haven't found a wife by the time you're 18, start looking when you're like 15, 16. If you haven't found one by the time you're 18, we can do what the Muslims do. Assign you one.
Yeah.
Can you get married? Fuck no. Can you get divorced? Fuck no. Then what are you going to do with the kids? You're going to fucking look after them. You're going to get a job. You're going to get an education. You're going to drop out of school? No. So there is literally no option for you to drop out of school. What we'll do, the community will drag you kicking and screaming back to that fucking school.
Yeah.
You will sit down. If you don't do it, they'll slap you again, until you're sitting there crying like a bitch and you go, okay, I'll read the textbook. And then you get out of the school and you go, you know what? I've actually got a fucking education now. I'm actually going to get a job. Okay, you get a job. You start earning some money. You think, okay, this is actually going quite well. In a generation or two, people are going to go, fucking hell, black people like packing out the universities, just like Jews and Asians do right now. Why are Jews and Asians at the top of universities? Because they fucking work for it. And I'm sorry, there's no other answer. There is no other answer. Black people must be held accountable for their decisions, and that's not racist. It's because this is what they're doing.
Well, so there's a black academic. His name is John Ogbu, and he wrote a lot of papers about why black students sometimes in affluent neighborhoods sometimes underperform white kids, even if they have good family and the family has, two-parent household and they do all the right things. Sometimes they find that black kids underperform in school, and all other variables accounted for. And he started looking into it beyond the statistics and just beyond the grades, and he started interviewing some of these black kids. And he found some interesting correlations, like, for example, with their names, if they had a more traditional American name versus like
there is undoubtedly some discrimination based on things like that. Yeah.
Well, it's not even discrimination so much. It's how they themselves perceive.
Oh, I remember someone telling me about this, actually. You're right. Yeah. Sorry. It's like self-sabotaging, right?
It is self-sabotaging. And what they do is they view the test that you are given in school as the white man's instrument to assimilate you. And they view it as the white person trying to erase and eradicate your culture and your cultural identity. And they view that as offensive. And so they rebel against it, even though they're smart kids, even though they come from affluent neighborhoods and they have good parents and they have 2 incomes in the household and every other thing is going right for them. But for some reason, they view that as othering. They view that as something alien to who they are.
Okay, accept it. That's the method to success. If you go, well, yeah, but I'm going to leave my crappy culture behind of guns and gangs and robberies and stuff. Okay, you want to leave that behind. That's shit. That's a shit life, and you know it. And the fact that you're sitting there going, well, it's someone else's fault. It's not someone else's fault. It's your fault. There is no one else to blame. And I've got a friend called That Guy T, right? He's a YouTuber, black guy. And he basically did it. And like, all my life, I was told the white man wanted to keep me down. Can you find a white guy who wants to keep black people down? Find me one. It's bullshit they tell themselves, and it's an excuse.
Have you ever been to Utah, buddy?
No.
I can find you a couple.
Okay, but you know what I mean? In general,
yeah.
White people aren't trying to keep black people down, and it's a fucking excuse. And it's people playing into this. What do you do with a child who is saying, well, I've got all these excuses why I didn't do my homework? I don't give a fucking shit. Do your fucking homework. Get on with it. And I hate to sound patronizing, but this is how everyone else sounds when they make excuses. Like, look at this from an Aristotelian point of view. You are what you do. And if you go and say, if you're like a Jewish person, right, what'd you do? Oh, I went to school and my mum made me get a job. My mum made me keep going. And eventually I got a fucking PhD and now I'm a professor and now I'm only got 100K a year. Now I'm on, I'm on the very top of society. Well, that's because you worked for it. There's no other, it's, you got it. You did it. And that's unfortunately what black people have to do. And I know that I'm going to get people kicking and screaming and going, well, but what if for this and someone else and someone else? No. Okay, there are going to be setbacks. You just get the fuck over them. Get the fuck over them. There's nothing else you can do.
Well,
you can't blame everyone else. You can't blame everyone else and this is the thing, right? Like Thomas Sowell points out, look, black people who get married, stay together, get an education, basically end up with the same sort of results as white people. They roughly, I mean, it's slightly lower, but that's probably due to, ingrained discrimination and stuff like this. But this sort of stuff all fades away when the stereotypes have disappeared. Like, left-handedness used to be really stigmatized, right? Like, so you go back 200 years, left-handed people weren't allowed to write with their left hand. Like, you get the teacher smack you on the hand if you,
right.
And it was called the sinister hand. People would look, people would think of you as lesser. And there was, we didn't have the stats, but let's be honest, they were probably treated in a similar way, not to the same extent, obviously, but it's the same sort of effect. And eventually, look, you're just going to have to get over this hump, and you can't blame someone else. And I know that there are going to be people who are just pissed off that I'm saying this, but they're not going to be able to tell me I'm wrong.
Well, look, your solution may be the right one. It sounds like it's the way out, right?
Yeah.
But can you appreciate that it's so much more challenging for them?
Yeah, but now what you're telling me is it sounds like a lot of hard work, and that's hurt my feels. Yeah, everything's hard work. Literally everything's hard work. Come on, let's be honest.
But you gotta look. It's demoralizing. I came from a family where my parents have at most a high school education, Same. First generation.
I was the first person in my family to go to university.
Well, you already told us your dad's black. You didn't have to go.
Exactly. And this is the thing. I'm not saying this because I don't like black people.
By the way, everything he said. He keep in mind he's black.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep in mind Sargon of Akkad is a black man.
No one is doubting Sargon's blackness. We know he's
turn down the lighting in here. He looks really weird right now. But
I'll see if I can find a picture of my granddad, because he was really fucking dark.
We actually had to turn up the contrast on this side of the screen here.
Yeah. But it's just about fucking owning it. Come on, you can't make excuses.
I'll just tell you, like owning
Read
it.
Stoicism. Black people need stoicism. That's what they need.
Stoicism is a great philosophy. We've had Ryan Holiday on the show before. Do you know Ryan Holiday?
I don't know him.
He wrote a great book called Ego is the Enemy.
Yes. It is. How did he
write it?
Right down there.
How did he write the book
right.
if he has no ego?
No, your ego is your self-defense mechanism. This is what whenever you start making excuses, this is what you're trying to protect. You're like, well, this is going to hurt my feelings. Fuck your feelings. Fuck your feelings. I'm really upset that you said that I'm going to have to get a job and I'm going to have to stay in school. Okay, fuck your feelings. You are going to have to get a job. You are going to have to stay in school. You are going to have to get educated. You're going to have to get married. You're going to have to take care of your kids. Fuck your feelings. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, but Stoicism goes too far. It tells you to basically do away with values altogether.
No, that you're thinking
entirely.
of nihilism.
I'm thinking of Stoicism.
No. You are right. There are like. It depends who you're reading. Like if you read Marcus Aurelius, really, really good. Really good values, and it's about taking personal responsibility, basically. But then you can read someone like Epictetus, who will end up telling you that, you know what, if you're being tortured, that's your fault for allowing yourself to fall into the hands of the torturer. And it's like, okay, that's way too far. Right. If someone's torturing you, you don't alleviate the burden of guilt from the torturer by saying it's your own
victim blaming.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I mean, with all these sort of philosophies, you can go too far, but there are definitely certain interpretations that are really, really productive. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, dude, if you're a black person listening to this, you know I'm right.
Yeah, all three black guys listening to the Maddox.
To the Armenian.
Well, we got some black guy. That's one. We can count on his download.
Your friend Mr. T is
Black
listening.
And then
all of Sargon's millions of black fans are going to be tuning in. This week.
No, look, man. I mean, it seems really easy, but it's also disheartening.
No, it's not easy, and it is disheartening. It's a lot of challenge, and I mean, like you say, a lot of empathy is going to be needed.
It's like
I'm being a dick, but
it's like starting a race, right? Where you're on a track and you're jogging, and then the person next to you has a bicycle.
You are
and the person next to them
exactly the SJW argument here. They literally make this exact argument.
That's the side of the debate. Yeah,
it's not necessarily incorrect.
Great, that's a very reason. You know what? I want to say this about Sargon. Before the show started, we both said a quote, and it's my favorite quote.
I love this quote.
Yeah, it's. The mark of an educated mind to entertain a thought without accepting it.
Yep.
And that is the MO of this show. That's
Aristotle as well, just for anyone.
Yeah, Aristotle, right. It's my favorite quote. It's a fantastic quote. And I hope, if anything you guys listening to this debate take away, is that in spite of the fact that people can have differing opinions, you can always sit down and have a nice, polite conversation without, from a podium, calling someone garbage and a shithead.
I actually would prefer it if all conversations went that way.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be way more healthy to the dialogue.
One other thing I want people to take away is that this episode is brought to you by our new bonus episode.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for checking out Maddox versus the Universe. Episode 3 is coming along really quick. I also want to plug some of the other shows on this network. Lord Matthews has been doing an excellent job. We're about to roll out some new features on this website. I was telling Sargon before the show started that we have the soundboard that is amazing. It works over the internet, anywhere in the world, over any device. It's device agnostic, and it plays sound effects. You can be in London. We can do near London.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this show.
We can play sound effects. We're gonna do some Skype sessions at some point. But check out Game Fart. It's on madcastmedia.com. And also Jesse PS from Pod Awful. Man, a couple of weeks ago, we did one of the most amazing pranks I've ever taken a part in. Anyway, really incredible stuff. Check it out, guys. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for supporting the network. And check out all the exciting stuff coming up. But now, Rucka, do you have a wrap-up for us?
Yeah. All right, this is going to be a confusing debate, to vote on. So if you agree with Sargon that identity politics is bad altogether, you're going to vote on his side, which says white identity politics is good. That's how the voting's going to work.
That's how the voting's going to work.
A little bit confused by that. Not sure anyone's going to vote how they mean to vote. Maybe you figure it out. But I will say this. I'm not what you'd necessarily call an educated person. Listen, we'll hold off on your little comments, your little soundboard remarks until we're done. I will say this though. The SJWs are on steroids. They're on steroids. They've been around forever, all through the fucking 90s. The before that, going back to the fucking Black Panthers and the crazy second wave feminists and the fucking egalitarian fucking writers of decades past. These guys have always been around. They've always labeled everyone who challenges them as racist, fucking fascist, fucking psycho killers and Hitlers in training. And most of you were fine with it. All right. Okay, most of you sat around.
Oh, you're gonna nail me on this one.
This is not your. You do not have the floor at this time, Sargon.
I'm sorry.
This is not your little YouTube channel where you get to say whatever you want. You don't have free speech right here. This is the Rucka wrap up. You all sat around, you hit the bong, you jerked off, you watched the Young Turks, you fucking, you played your little video games, you had your fun, you had no problem watching the world crumble, and then they came after your precious little video games, and suddenly you all transformed into fucking Jeffersonian Democrats. Oh, hold on, let's talk about principles. You're all full of shit, all right? And you watching at home, you might say, "Oh, you can't treat Sargon this way. He's the figurehead of the resistance. He's right fucking here, and he agrees with everything I'm saying. All right, I run this shit now. That's right. Call me daddy.
It's a Rucka wrap up.
Yeah.
All right, bravo, Rucka. Thank you for that wrap up.
That was really good, man.
Very well done.
It's true, man. Generation X just checked the fuck out. We should be the ones running these institutions. We decided, fuck it. How many fucking Generation Xers do you know who just dropped out of university?
Speak for
Fucking
yourself,
all
man.
of us.
Well,
lazy cunts.
Yeah, we were just talking about this.
Yeah, we were just talking about this. We're just lazy bastards.
I'm one test away from graduating. I'm technically graduated. I'm the
that's
foremost
the
academic.
worst.
Yeah.
You got this bloody close, and you're like, you know what? Fuck it.
You're a fucking college dropout.
Technically a graduate, though.
Technically. All right. He's
Almost
technically.
graduated.
All right.
That's close.
You're technically not Hitler. Technically.
I'm 100% not Hitler.
Oh.
I'm 0%
Either you
Hitler.
graduate or you don't.
I almost graduated. You know what?
All right.
Foremost academic.
Let him believe he's educated.
You keep winning this, Rucka. I tell you.
I mean,
you keep getting it right, dude.
I spent more time in school than he did.
Wrong. That's wrong. That's false.
No, you went only
You got
for
held
4
back
years.
like 4 years.
Oh, I went 6 years.
See?
I did a 4-year education.
You know, if you measure the time I first signed up for a community college class and the last time I took a class, it might be 7 or 8 years.
It's like the battle of the slacker idiots.
I know. It's awful, isn't it?
I got some
and
headlines.
I'm not educated. All right.
No one's doubting
I'm not
that.
educated. Did
No one is disputing
Did I
you.
ever claim to be smart or educated?
No one is saying that.
No, because I'm just not. I'm not fucking stupid. That's all I'm saying. I'm not fucking stupid.
Well,
That's true. No,
we'll
that's
put
true.
that to the debate. Well, that'll be the second
All right.
debate question.
That's the second debate
Is Rucka
question.
fucking stupid?
We're leaving it up to you, watching and listening at home.
We got the Sargon. What do you call your fans? What do you call Sargon?
You need a name.
No,
now that
I
you're
haven't got a name.
Sargonians.
Just people who watch my channel.
You're a YouTuber. You need a name for your fans.
But that's the
I
point.
got
Like,
the Maddox Militia.
Yeah.
Rucka's got the Nuckas.
Rucka's Nuckas.
Sargons.
I haven't got a name for them.
Sargonians.
I don't know. Oh, God, I don't know. Oh,
Sargons,
This is all getting
jargon.
wildly out of control and I'm not happy.
Academics.
Sargon.
Sargon Academics. Yeah. Academics.
No, 'cause I'm not an academic. That's the thing.
Get a stick.
No, God, it
Sargon
can't. It
Sargon
can't.
dropouts.
The SJWs will never let me hear the end of it.
Oh my gosh, that'd be
All
so
right,
funny.
the Sargon Nazis.
Oh, fucking. Oh, God, this
We
is
got
worse.
it. Here we did.
I wish I'd stuck with the
Oh my
academia.
gosh.
The,
Yeah.
the Sargon sergeants.
Actually,
Yeah.
oh God, a friend of mine called me a Marxist Sargonist a while ago. I was like,
Oh wow.
The Sargonists, I guess.
The
is best
Sargonists.
one, yeah.
We got a bunch of. You know what? We'll let your fans decide. Because by the way, you have no say. They'll decide.
Oh yeah, I know. They'll tell me.
All right, guys. A couple. This is a news story. Chinese parents are now alarmed by miniature crossbow craze. Have you guys heard of this? It sounds amazing, by the
No,
way.
I want a miniature crossbow though.
I know. It sounds. If I had this in when I was a kid, it says powerful mini crossbows that shoot toothpicks and needles are now the new must-have toy for school kids across China, and a nightmare for concerned parents and school officials. Chinese media report. This is from U.S. News, by the way. Chinese media report that several cities have already banned sales of the palm-sized contraptions, which sell for about $1 and are powerful enough to puncture soda cans, apples, and cardboard, depending on the projectile. Holy shit! What a fucking cool toy! You could take someone's eye out for real with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's really terrifying. Actually, I know, maybe it's because I'm a father. I'm thinking, fuck, man, I don't think kids should have that.
Well, you wouldn't let your kids have one of these?
I'd get one.
How old's your kid?
He's only 2. So.
Oh, 2? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll get him when he's 4.
What's 4? There, that sounds about right. The fad appears to have sprung from the southwest city of Chengdu, but quickly spread to China's east coast and even across the border to Hong Kong. And then I got one other headline here, and we'll wrap this up. Teenage boys, you may have heard of this, teenage boys are now wearing skirts to school to protest against a no-shorts policy. What do you think of that, Sargon?
I think that's a troll.
No.
Well, no, I mean like a deliberate troll.
Oh, it's
like,
deliberate, yeah.
on the part of the teenage boys. They're like,
Right.
well, fuck it, we can't wear shorts, we'll wear skirts. Fuck you.
I think it's actually a brilliant
Yeah,
protest.
it's excellent.
Oh my God.
This is from The Guardian. What, Rucka?
Have you heard of dignity?
Have you heard of satire and protest?
Satire.
Yeah.
Hey, they've been reading their Alinsky. That's exactly
when
what
I
he said.
first saw that fucking picture, I thought like, oh, the fucking headmaster of the school. You know, like the parents are getting the kids to wear skirts to show them that gender is fluid or some shit.
Yeah.
Non-binary.
No, they did it in protest, right?
No,
They're doing it in
no,
protest.
they're actually bringing it upon themselves. They're going to school wearing skirts.
It's a protest, and I think it's brilliant. Listen to this. It says some had borrowed from their girlfriends, others from their sisters. A few had gone the extra mile and shaved their legs. When the Iska Academy in Devon opened up on Thursday morning, an estimated 30 boys arrived for the lessons, heads held high, in fetching tartan-patterned skirts. The hottest June days since 1976 had led to a bare-legged revolution at the secondary school in Exeter. They said that as temperatures soared to 30 C, what is that, like 80 to 90 degrees?
I don't know what...
90 US?
It's like 95. It's like high.
It's high for Britain, really.
30, yeah.
Oh, yeah. 30 in Britain.
30's high.
Yeah.
They said earlier in the week, the teenage boys had asked their teachers if they could swap their long trousers for shorts. They were told no. Shorts were not permitted under the school's uniform policy.
You fucking draconian bastards.
Yeah. So they
Boiled to
protested.
death, you little bitches.
Well, there's your little white culture there. Discipline in the school.
White identity.
Yeah.
This is why white genocide is necessary.
They protested. The school, no doubt joking, said the boys were free to wear skirts too if they chose. So they're being a little cheeky. They're like, fuck you.
That's actually kind of disrespectful. Look, we're pissing with sweat here. Can we just wear some shorts? No, wear skirts if you don't like it.
Why the
Fine,
double
get
standard?
fucked.
Girls can wear pants.
I'm sure it started with a sarcastic remark.
Yeah, that's what it says. So on Wednesday, a handful braved the giggles and did exactly that. They wore the skirts to say fuck you to the school. The scale of the rebellion increased on Thursday when at least 30 boys opted for the attire. Quite refreshing was how one of the boys described the experience, pointing out that the royal ascot had allowed racegoers in the royal enclosure to remove their jackets. Then the school ought to relax its dress code. Another said that he rather enjoyed the nice breeze his skirt had afforded him. Nice breeze. Would you wear a skirt, Rucka?
I would draw the line there. No, I would say no.
That's essentially, the Arab garb, like that big white thing that they wear?
Yeah, I can't remember it's
the kafia.
No, I don't.
It has a specific name, and I can't remember what it is.
I can't remember either. But that's essentially what it's supposed to do. Is it creates a draft that goes right up your skirt. I think they go bare bottom.
Yeah.
And you know what
Pretty
we should do is we should make the women wear a giant black bin bag instead in the middle of the desert, because that's fair.
Yeah.
Why is that house?
And that's just what they do. They're fucking evil and oppressive. And then you get the fucking feminists who go, Islam is the most feminist religion. Well, you want to wear a bin bag in the middle of the desert too, do you? You are a fucking glutton for punishment. What is wrong with you? There's the sects of Muslims. One of the points of like doctrinal disagreement is the length of the hem on their robes.
Right.
If they think Muhammad had it just above his ankle, and so most people just have it just down below the ankle, probably because it looks less silly.
Right.
And so that's how basically if you're dealing with a fundamentalist.
Oh, if
you can see his ankles like a little whore.
Oh, that's
like Victorian slut.
Sargon, it's been great having you. Long time coming, first time to the U.S.
Dude, I've loved
Thank
it.
you for coming on the show. Fantastic. This has been a long episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Before we go, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Oh, no.
Your Twitter? Well, we'll link to your Twitter and YouTube regardless.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun.
If you
Plus,
just put me in Google, then.
I want to see that video that you recorded at the speech at VidCon.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll link to that.
I'll have that up as soon as I can.
Yeah.
We had this house party the other day, and like every time I've been ambushing Chris Reagan with alt-right talking points, and I've been saying them like sounding as if it's unironic just to make him laugh, right? So I'd be like, jumping. So what about the Jews then, Chris? It's like, why did you call for a new crusade and all this sort of stuff? And he was just like, we were really drunk. He's just like, but now I can't put it up because I'm like, well, look at this racist Nazi shit.
They're looking for something to pin on you. Well, anyway, Sargon, thank you again so much for coming on the show. A fantastic debate, fantastic time. Thank you to my first hand on staff, Rucka Ali.
Yeah.
Mikey Bolts, feel
Rest
better.
in peace. Oh, he's sick. That's why he's not here.
We'll see you next week. But most of all, you're welcome.
Oh my God, I am so glad you guys had Joey Salads on the podcast this week, because there's been something I've been keeping quiet, but now seems the best time to bring it up. Like about 6 months ago, I was walking around in New York, and I saw this guy come up to me, and I didn't really recognize him at first, but it was Joey Salads. And he asked me if I wanted to be in a video with him, and I said, sure thing, because I thought it'd be pretty cool to be on YouTube or something like that. And what he did is immediately led me down this alley, pulled down my pants, and started sucking my dick. And at first, I just played along with it because I was like, hell yeah, getting my dick sucked, and I'm going to be famous on YouTube. And you know what? It's going on for a while. I'm starting to think, what's the joke here? And then finally, after I finish, he stands up and he says, ha, you're gay. You got sucked off by a guy and you liked it. And you know what? For a second, I thought about it and I figured it out. He didn't even say no homo. I got punked real good. Anyways, big fan of the show. I think it's kind of weird how lately all the podcasts have really turned into mostly a discussion about how Maddox is a communist and doesn't believe in property rights. But other than that, really good. Suck off a Nazi. See you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a communist. I don't know where the fuck that's coming from. Here's a call from our own Lord Matthew.
Oh, shit.
That last one was fucking brilliant.
Hey, Lord Matthew here. I was also at Vidcon last year, and I also saw Philip DeFranco in the bathroom. But when I saw him, I caught him mid-receiving a blowjob from none other than John Wayne.
Bringing back the old John Wayne. There's a reference a couple episodes ago. John Wayne got caught sucking someone off.
Hey there. Don't forget to subscribe to Madcast shows on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Okay, bye. Madcast Media Network.